facilities. The county's proposal is separate from the state's plans to build a secure facility for more serious juvenile offenders on Titonia Avenue in Milwaukee. Several lawsuits have been filed over the conditions at Lincoln Hills and Copper Lake, which share a campus. So far, settlements and legal bills have cost the state more than $25 million. Outside tonight, mostly cloudy, lows in the mid to upper 60s. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN, Wisconsin's political talk.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Happy Taco Tuesday to you, my little buddy.
Happy Tuesday, Crudy. It feels like a Thursday because tomorrow's Wednesday and Thursday's the 4th, which kind of makes tomorrow Friday.
If you go across the street there, I hear they do Taco Tuesdays on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It'll be very confusing.
We went across the street today. Fancy, Brian, and Keith and I all had some tacos today. So we celebrated Taco Tuesday.
I'm a better person for it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, see, tacos cures everything.
Oh, you left me out of the tacos. Dom, I got a question.
What?
Are you proud of what you have become? Are you proud of yourself, young man?
Well, sure, man. Why not? Of myself, hell, Crudy, I could have been a lot worse.
I'm not clear that that's the case. I'm not really clear that that's the case.
The night is young.
Really proud of what we've been able to do.
A lot worse. A lot worse?
The night is young.
Dominic, new polling out. This one, I know you and I both find a little interesting. Founded at thehill.com. Pride in the United States hits a low. All-time low, according to Gallup. Morgan Gestalter reports. Pride in the U.S. has hit its lowest point since Gallup started asking the question in about 2001. According to a poll released Tuesday, with less than half of adults surveyed now saying they're extremely proud to be an American. So I got to ask the audience right away, Dom. What about you, audience? Are you proud to be an American? Let's do our own little non-scientific polling here, Dom. At 844-967-2789. Let's think about a few moments, if we can, article will stay there. When were you proud to be an American, Dom? Name a time. Is it when the U.S. women's soccer took a 2-1 lead on the English? Did that make you proud?
Go, U.S. women's soccer. They're in a battle, I believe, against England. Oh, like the proud American?
How about sports-wise? What is your proudest moment to be an American?
You know, it's tough because I don't look at things like sports as relative to me. Now, am I happy when the Bucks win or the Packers win?
Well, that's
or the
not
Brewers
a patriotism
win? Sure,
thing.
but you're bringing up sports as some sort of analogy.
Okay, I got one for you.
All right,
the Miracle on Ice, the Lake Placid Winter Olympics,
that's
1980.
One. Yeah.
Those collegians beat the mighty Russians. Back when the Russians were the bad guys, Dom. You remember back to 1980, don't you?
I do. I remember the call. Do you believe in miracles?
Al Michaels.
Oh.
Buddy, I got the picture on the wall in the production studio on Brady Street. If you ever replace the battery, that thing would play Al Michaels. It does. It's got a little audio element. But, Dom, that was an opportunity in life, a circumstance I could remember. It's like 10 years old. Never prouder of my country than that day. You know, I was only 10 at that point. Those were tough times.
And it's been, all downhill ever since? I mean, I was pretty proud when Ronald Reagan got in and all of a sudden these hostages were released. I thought, wow, that's cool. But then, of course, I was also, 9 years old? And as I get a little bit older and you realize what the real history of that entire circumstance was, it kind of casts a shadow on that day.
I was very proud to be an American the day that Barack Obama was elected for the very first time, 2008. That glorious night. That night I was very proud. Many tears. Not mine so much, but other people. I observed many tears that night. Lots and lots of happy, proud people to elect the first African-American president of the United States, Tom. Then came the orange president, the very first orange president we've ever elected. Donald Trump is now the president. Suddenly, the American people feeling just a little less proud, a little less patriotic than they used to, Dom. How could that be?
Cause and effect. The Hill goes on. 70% of U.S. adults said in the new poll that they were proud to be Americans, but 2019 marks the second consecutive year that fewer than half, 45%, identified as extremely proud.
Now, where would you throw yourself? Are you proud? Are you extremely
sure.
proud?
I'm proud. I think,
or not proud at all?
I think generally as a culture, as a people, nowadays, but we have come a long way. We strive, I think, a lot of us to do the right thing. But you also cannot deny history. You know what I'm saying? And because of these feelings, as we mentioned, perhaps it was the Olympics for you, Crudy, or when the Iranians released the hostages. Those little moments that we have, especially like in mine. As you get older and you realize, what the circumstances are, well, of course, perceptions change. And now as I won't say grizzled, but as a cynical adult.
Grizzled. You're probably right the first time.
I'm a little less apt to those, swings of emotion like that. I'm certainly not proud of what's going on down on the southern border right now. I'm not proud that the president we currently have, goes overseas and just makes an ass out of himself and this country. I'm not proud that, as far as I'm concerned, he's a Russian asset in the White House. Those things do not make me proud. I am not proud that there's an all-out assault on the foundational principles of what this country is supposed to be by this administration. Those things don't make me proud, and apparently I'm not alone in that.
Dominic, I saw some polling earlier today. Perhaps your profession should not make you proud either. Apparently, about a third of Americans believe that you and I, and anyone that would call themselves a journalist, enemy of the people.
What was that percent?
About a third. About 33%.
So, yeah.
Believe that you and I,
the Trump cult,
and journalists of any sort, the fourth estate, we are the enemy of the people.
Well, I fully expect the true enemy of the people to think that the journalists are the enemy of the people, because we report on what they do. And yes, you Trump supporters, you're going to throw that at us? You are the enemy of democracy, of good governance, and of good people.
Dominic, let's talk about the moment, at least according to Gallup's polling, when the American people were proudest to be Americans. Well, roughly 70% in 2003, after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, when the American public expressed high levels of patriotism, Gallup noted. Now, I'd point out, George W. Bush had the highest Gallup approval ratings of any president that they've taken, right after 9/11. I can hear you, and the world's going to hear us soon, something of that effect. I mean, that was his shining moment, Dom. Then he tax cut, told us to go shopping, gave us a tax cut, and then crashed the economy. I think Trump's well on his way as well. Dom, extreme pride amongst Democrats dipped to its lowest measure in the new survey. Only 22% of Democrats responded with extreme pride, half of what it was before President Trump's 2016 election. So Democratic extreme pride in America cut in half under Trump. Republicans' latest ratings, Dom. What do you think they're doing? 76% is 10 points below the record high in 2003, but 76% of Republicans, according to Gallup, apparently have extreme pride. Republicans' extreme pride has never fallen below 68%. Even when former President Barack Obama was in office, the survey giant noted. Are Republicans more proud of the country they live in than us Democrats, Dom? We're too quick to see and I don't even count you amongst the dumps. I don't know what you are.
Just ask me, I'll tell you. I don't know.
But are Republicans more proud of at least their country? Are they more readily, America, love it or leave it? That seemingly is the attitude.
I certainly am proud of the opportunities that
But
this
are you extremely
existence-
proud?
No, I'm not extremely proud. No, I am not. And the government, the way that we have, devised our self-governance allows for maximum opportunity, allows, we are built on a nation of immigrants. But of course, I cannot look at those very positive things for humanity and then not look at, the Iraq War. Look at what we're doing right now with the asylum seekers. Of course, going back over history with the Trail of Tears and the Native Americans here in this country, what the Europeans and everyone did. And let's not forget slavery. I mean, come on. So while, yes, there's lots there. There's lots to be proud and positive about, certainly. But I'm not going into this with rose-colored glasses, man. We got to realize what our limitations are. We got to understand what our mistakes have been. If you're going to be like, what, Bush? Was it W? When we went and we shot down this Iranian commercial airliner, right? And where they said, I'm not going to ever apologize for America. Well, that's something I think does not bode well for our country. I am not proud of that moment.
Fool me once, shame on.
On who?
Fool me twice, won't get fooled again.
Fool me, can't get fooled again.
41% of independents identified as extremely proud to be American in the new survey, a new low. Pollsters noted that the group has historically been less proud of the U.S. than the Republicans. So, I think that, the patriotism as they see it. Now, I'm all about it. One of the things that, patriotism is relative, man. I love the fact that we have the ability to stand up and speak truth to power without fear of getting shot dead in the street, generally speaking, by the state or by your political rivals. That is something.
But about a third of Americans wouldn't grant you that right, Dom. About a third of them would perceive you as an enemy of the people.
You are the enemy of the people.
Oh, well, you can perceive it however you want, just because you perceive it, just because you worship an ass that puts those thoughts into your mind, because you disagree with the words that I say, it doesn't make you right.
Well, actually, that was just a poll about you, Don. And we just took it here at the station.
You and Brian like thumbs down, I'm thumbs up, 33%.
Here it is. Here is the poll. This one also dropped today. Very interesting polling, Dom. I think 1/3 of Americans say the news media is the enemy of the people, according to a new Hill Harris poll survey. The poll released Monday found that the sentiment is strongest, go figure, Dom, amongst Republican voters, according to the survey.
Does that include Fox News?
51% of Republicans polled say they thought the press was the enemy of the people, compared with 14% of Democrats and 35% of independents who said the same. The majority of all respondents overall signaled support for the press, with 67% saying that the news media is an important part of democracy. I'd like to think we are too, Dom.
Ask us.
Among those surveys, respondents were most closely divided on the issue in rural areas. 46% of rural Americans said they believed the news media to be the enemy of the people, compared with 54% who said the news media was a crucial part of democracy. But Dom, sometimes democracy means killing people.
That's what leadership is, right?
Well, apparently that's what they're telling the people over on Fox News, where the real news is made. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Going to have a fine show with you participating at 844-967-2789. Come back with us. I'll tell you all about it.
I am so proud that you are citizens of our country.
We're American because you're in America, okay? Greatest country on the planet.
I'm really proud of what we've been able to do.
It is pitchfork and torches time in America.
It's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it.
everybody watching can really be very proud of what's taken place. The American dream is dead.
An effective, safe, and reliable public transit system is the lifeblood of any community. ATU Local 998 transit workers believe in this community, which is why they have been working in good faith without a new contract for over 15 months. They are simply asking for the same health care and increased driver and passenger safety. This is possible, but only with Chris Abley signing a fair contract. Join the Amalgamated Transit Union and fight the service cuts. Call 414-278-4338 and tell Chris Abley that you support ATU Local 998 transit workers and the fight for public transit.
Got unwanted pests in your home or business? Call Get Rid Pest Control at 414-368-0696. State licensed and certified with over 20 years experience, Get Rid Pest Control guarantees their work in the removal of common household pests, including mice, rats, ants, roaches, spiders, centipedes, and bedbugs. Humane trapping and removal of larger pests as well. Unmarked vehicles available upon request. 24-hour emergency service available. Call Get Rid Pest Control today for your free estimate. 414-368-0696. If you got it, we'll get it.
All workers benefit from unions, as unions create the highest standard in wages, health and welfare, retirement security, and workplace protections. Hello, this is Tom Bennett, President of Teamsters General Local 200. Your voice is your strength. The ability to build a stronger and better tomorrow begins today. Teamster Local 200 represents workers in numerous industries, and our team is ready to sit down with you and your co-workers to build your unified team. Call Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit us on Facebook or www.teamsterslocal200.com.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
Man, come on. I had a rough night, and I hate the f***ing Eagles, man.
To be living here today.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, streaming on YouTube and on Facebook. We're on Twitter at Devil Radio. And you can always join us on the phones, toll-free talk or text, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, you show no pride. Lee Greenwood's on. You should be standing at attention, saluting
Lee
the
who?
American flag.
Lee who? Tony from Oregon. He's proud to be an American. Not proud of my representatives, he texts. I'm proud of Dom for being one of the few libertarians to defend the left. I'm also proud of myself for my daily attempts to be humane and accepting the burden of consciousness. Wow, Tony.
I agree 100% with that sentiment. I like you, Tony.
Especially the last part. Thanks, man. 844-967-2789.
Dom, are you proud to be an American? Yes, but not extremely proud. Is that?
Yeah, I'd put myself in, if I have to, categorize it. Proud, not extremely proud.
Well, you know what I'm proud of, Dom? The Booker on this fine show. Because he did a hell of a job again today.
Finally showing up. What did the Booker get for us today?
The Booker... Ed Fallone, fine. Wisconsin Supreme Court candidate Ed Fallone going to join you in the Brady Street studios in the happy hour. And Batman. I got Batman. I put out the bat signal. And Batman, our good friend Matt Rothschild, executive director of Wisconsin Democracy Campaign, he answered. He'll be joining me in the happy hour, Dom. So that happy hour, it's going to be damn happy up in here. You'll all be very proud of us.
Crudy, the Daily Beast reports, and this kind of lies. And are you proud to be an American? Fox News host Tucker Carlson said on Sunday that part of what it means to lead a country is killing people. Carlson made the comment while speaking on Fox and Friends from South Korea after witnessing President Trump become the first sitting president to walk into North Korean territory. Carlson was reportedly a guest of the White House on the diplomatic trip to South Korea, along with the president's daughter Ivanka and son-in-law Jared Kushner, both of whom are senior White House advisors. Carlson was reportedly scheduled to interview the president on Sunday for a Fox special airing Monday night. His fatalist assertion came after Fox and Friends host Jedediah Bila questioned Carlson on Trump's controversial decision to have friendly relations with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. And here's a quote from Bila. President Trump recently made a comment about having a certain type of good chemistry with Kim Jong-un. You're talking about someone who has been responsible for so many human rights abuses. Does he want to risk with that kind of language of coming off to Kim Jong-un like he's pandering to him to an extent, or B, upsetting the American public that elected a president they want to stand firm and be tough on those human rights violations, ? Carlson responded, there's no defending the North Korean regime, which is a monstrous regime. It's the last really Stalinist regime in the world. We have a cut of this? Let's do it. Brian, you're up.
Yeah, I mean, there's no defending the North Korean regime, which is a monstrous regime. It's the last really Stalinist regime in the world. It's a disgusting place, obviously, and so there's no defending it. On the other hand, you know, you got to be honest about what it means to lead a country. It means killing people, not on the scale that the North Koreans do, but a lot of countries commit atrocities, including a number that we're closely allied with. So, you know, I'm not a relativist or anything, but it's important to be honest about that. And it's not necessarily a choice between, you know, the evil people and the great people. It's a choice most of the time between the bad people and the worst people. And that's just kind of the nature of life and certainly the nature of power.
Now, a couple of thoughts. First and foremost, Dom, it's amazing how much you resemble Tucker Carlson.
What?
At least vocally.
Come on.
Above and beyond that, I'm pretty sure when your first name is Jebediah, the last name doesn't take on a Latino connotation. I don't think it's the Spanish pronunciation.
Are you actually going to criticize my pronunciation of names, Crudy? I want to be clear I'm hearing you properly.
When the first name's Jebediah and you're a Fox News anchor.
Jedediah. 2 D's, no B.
Oh, my bad. The more Latino version, the more Latin version, my bad. You had it right all along. Here, I thought it was Jebediah. It was Jedediah Blaze.
Bila? Bila? How would you say B-I-L-A as a last name, Crudy?
J. Billis.
B-I-L-A. There's no S.
J. Billa.
Billa.
I'm so proud of us.
So proud.
So proud. So proud of all our audience.
I am extremely proud. I am the most proud.
You probably are the most proud. Unnecessarily so, quite frankly. Come back with us.
Strong sense of self-worth.
We are the Devil's Advocates. We'll self-correct on grammar and other topics, perhaps, with your help at 844-967-2789. Stand up, dial that phone, join this fine program. Some say greatest ever.
'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
If politics is boring, you're doing it wrong. Check out more at DomandCroot.com.
You got to be honest about what it means to lead a country.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone. Done. By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Tune in to Wisconsin's Political Talk on News Talk 1510 AM. Start your weekday off with the Earl Ingram Show from 7 to 9 a.m. Next, it's The Forum with Sherwin Hughes from 9 to noon. Then from 12 till 2, it's the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman. Then from 3 to 6, it's the Devil's Advocates. At 6, it's Jocasta Zamaripa, Maggie Dawn, and Unheard Of with Brandy Grayson. Wisconsin's Political Talk. Listen online at newstalk1510am.com.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
From the Capitol in Madison, this is Wiz Politics Midday.
Good afternoon. I'm Pat Pobletti, and our report for Tuesday, June 2nd, is brought to you by Spectrum. Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald is knocking the Wisconsin Association of School Boards for suggesting the Gov uses partial veto authority to increase per-pupil aid by $17.5 million for public school students. But first, the Wisconsin Transportation Builders Association is urging the Gov to sign the transportation portion of the state budget, as well as 2 Republican-backed bills to require changes at DOT. In the letter last week, WTBA Executive Director Pat Goss wrote the transportation budget that emerged from the legislature was a, quote, critical first step in reversing deteriorating infrastructure conditions throughout Wisconsin. Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald and Assembly Speaker Robin Voss vowed to pass a package of reforms to the Department of Transportation as the Joint Finance Committee approved a series of fee hikes to pay for road work. Additionally, the Wisconsin Supreme Court today ruled the state crime lab is allowed to test blood samples from those accused of drunk driving, even if the suspect revokes their consent. According to court documents, the decision stems from a case involving Jessica Randall, who was pulled over in Fitchburg on suspicion of drunk driving in October 2016. She consented to have a blood sample drawn to test her sobriety levels shortly after being arrested, but before the sample could be processed, Randall's attorney sent a letter to the state crime lab revoking any previous consent. The lab proceeded to test the evidence, but Randall moved to have the evidence suppressed, arguing that testing her blood after she had revoked consent amounted to an unlawful search. A Dane County judge sided with her, and a 3-judge appeals court panel upheld that ruling. But in a 5-1 decision, the Supreme Court reversed that decision. Finally, Fitzgerald's comments come after Wisconsin Association of School Boards lobbyist Dan Rossmiller yesterday released a letter to Governor Tony Evers laying out how the Gov could strike language in the GOP budget to boost per-pupil categorical payments by another $25 per pupil starting in the 1920 school year. Fitzgerald fired back on Twitter today that he hoped Rossmiller had acted on his own and, quote, is not representing the school boards of our state. For WisPolitics Midday, sponsored by Spectrum, I'm Pat Popletti.
This has been WisPolitics Midday. For more state government and political news, visit wispolitics.com.
Here in the Badger State, we have our own expressions. When we're looking to go on vacation, we state, well, let's go up north. Hello, this is Tom Bennett, president of Teamsters Local 200. Here in the Badger State, we also have another expression, union yes. The strength of the labor movement depends on elected officials here in Wisconsin and Washington, D.C. that support the values of working families that raise the standards for all. Give us a call at Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit our website at www.teamsterslocal200.com or on Facebook at Teamsters Local 200. Be engaged.
Fool me once, shame on.
The Devil's Advocates. Sausage making never looks so good.
You fool me, you can't get fooled again.
Welcome back to the Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, Daniel tweeted at us at Devil Radio. I wish I could loan you guys my glasses. So I tweeted back at him. I said, oh, your rose-colored glasses? And he said, no, just my normal glasses. And I'm thinking, why? So we can read aloud on the radio competently. So you could be proud of us, Daniel. We don't need that sort of pride. We'll just wing it.
We don't need that kind of pressure.
You know, I had a pair of reading glasses back in 1993. I left them in a hotel room in Jersey and never put a pair on since. I really should be wearing reading glasses. I know I've got excellent vision. You know, vision, but not so much when it comes to actually seeing things. My vision, it's getting a little bad, Dom.
Well, you're getting a little old, Crudy.
Just the close stuff, like
yeah,
where you're at
when
at
you're,
a distance.
Like when you're reading things.
Yeah, it makes it difficult
on the radio.
It's difficult, but you know, it's one of those words. That's why sometimes I just slurred into like 3 different words because I can't differentiate the letters quickly enough.
Just making it up as you go along.
There's a swarm of people backing up on the phones, Tom. Let's get to them at 844-967-2789. Mark's been the most patient. You're first, Mark. Welcome to the show. What do you got for us today?
Well, sometimes your arms just aren't long enough for the reading. And that was my experience with contact lenses. It's just horrifying. I mean, it just gets more horrible every day. I mean, Tucker Carlson saying, "Oh, we got to kill people." That sometimes
not that we have to kill people, but that, you know, in leadership that means people get killed, I guess. And my question is, of course, well, who did Trump kill, Mark?
Well, how many? I mean, is the question. I mean, and how many? It just six little kids down at the holding facilities. I mean, that if he's responsible for all this stuff, and then he's responsible for their deaths. I mean, at least 6 children have died at those facilities.
Well, Mark, I'd say it's hundreds, perhaps thousands in Puerto Rico wanting for aid that Trump never sent. I would say, when you factor in natural disasters and the aftermath thereof, I think that number grows astronomically.
It does, because I mean I think we were arguing with people that didn't even think Puerto Rico Puerto Ricans were Americans. I mean, I think there's some nitwit troll made some comment there, and I think he deleted it after that, because I said, you do realize that Puerto Ricans are Americans, and it just I don't know.
Mark, I'm gonna put you down for super duper extremely proud American, then, sir.
I want to be proud of my country, but I certainly can't be proud of what our behavior has been over some of these issues. I mean, there's so much good we could be doing in the world if we just, actually went by the values we actually espouse in our founding documents. I mean, that yes, we have there was problems in our founding documents, but I mean some of the ideals expressed in those founding documents actually are ones that people have looked to for inspiration. I mean they looked, the people who rebelled in Haiti back when they overthrew the French. I mean, they were looking to our founding documents and were surprised when we didn't live up to our ideals.
Mark, how can we live up to the ideals when Putin, when Trump's overseas and he gets asked a question about Western liberalism, he starts talking about San Francisco and these. I know, right? I mean, the ideals of fraternity and liberty, right? Those kinds of Enlightenment ideals from John Locke back in the day, and Trump thinks he's talking about San Francisco. It's just an embarrassment. He has no idea.
Well, I mean, George Washington made some comment about being liberal, and that's the liberal he meant is, the ideals of the Enlightenment. Yes. I mean that, and Washington, had his problems, but let's face it. I mean, as for the original sin, they looked upon that as something that they couldn't see a way to get away from it. For some of them, I mean, that was prior to slavery really becoming entrenched with the invention of the cotton gin and the sugar plantations and all that.
Let's not
really got big.
Too far back in history, Mark. Let's ask about current events for a minute. Does this president make you, Mark from the SAC, are you less proud to be an American because Donald Trump is in essence a representative of us all?
I'm ashamed that he represents us because he is a blot upon America's reputation. I mean, he is just that. You have the picture posted of him fondling the flag, and I mean that picture just creeps me out. I mean it panders to his base, but I mean but I can't understand how his base even tolerates that kind of thing because it just looks disgusting. I mean, there's no reverence for the flag in that picture. It does seem almost a little sexual,
doesn't it? just a little off and creepy, Mark.
I commented on that, and who knows what he does to the flag in private. I mean,
Mark, appreciate the call. Sorry I keep cutting you off there, man. I don't mean to. I suspect A, Betsy Ross may be rolling over in her grave. And B, I suspect Donald Trump looks at that American flag, that now, should we call it historic photograph of him embracing the flag lecherously. I suspect that's the same way he looks at his daughter.
Ew. Thank you for that visual. 844-967-2789. You can be very proud of this fine radio station, this fine radio program by calling 844-967-2789. Phil from Cudahy, you're up. Thanks for calling, Phil. What do you got?
Hey, Phil.
Boy, fellas. Say, Jedediah is a Hebrew name, FYI, and it, Jed, the name Jed is short for Jedediah.
And so, Phil, how about the last name, Bila? How would you pronounce that?
Yeah, what's the What's the Latin pronunciation of Vila?
That would be Via. But if you're going to name your kid Jedediah, you're either a Quaker or, Hebrew, likely Jewish. So you're probably not going to have a Latino last name. So probably Villa.
Billa.
I'm guessing. Yeah.
And
is there a
really an ominous.
Phil, is there a whiter way you could say that last name, like more white, like Bila or something?
Yeah. Let me think about that for a minute.
Not too long.
No. Come on, man.
Are you proud to be an American, Phil? That's
are you proud of this phone call,
hey,
Phil?
Listen, okay, that's part of not yet, but that's part of the reason I called. Okay, so I've traveled internationally for quite a few years, and no, I'm ashamed to be an American, and I'll tell anyone that and it's not just. I mean, obviously now it's worse than ever. But listen, we had George Bush, we had George Bush Jr. Prior to that, Ronald Reagan. All embarrassments, maybe not Reagan as much. I was a little young then, but definitely in the 90s, George Bush was an embarrassment to the rest of the around the rest of the world. Not like we have now. Just recently, I've been to Canada and Mexico, and had a laugh with everyone. And
Buddy, do you wear like a knapsack with a maple leaf flag on it?
Try to blend in with the locals.
You try to pretend you were a Canooker up north there, hey?
No, I would. I'd love to officially be a Canadian, but I really don't like the cold. But I do love Canadian people. I've known Canadians for 20 or 30 years, and some of the funnest guys to drink with, that's for sure.
Hell yeah, we got some of our own Canadian friends. Canadian Rob, it was his birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Canadian Rob. Thanks for the call, Phil.
Canada. It's freezing cold.
Toronto's a great town.
Yeah, but they got that good Elsinore beer.
I mean, Toronto, like literally, I guess as latitude is concerned, Toronto, from where I am right now in Milwaukee, is probably, like 40 miles north. So, I mean, it's very similar climate, Toronto. You can obviously go way up north in Canada. It gets colder.
Yeah, but Toronto's got Drake and the Raptors, man. I hate Toronto.
Thank you for the call, Phil. Are you proud to be an American where at least you know you're free or that you think you're free? 844-967-2789. We got some.
First of all, there is no Canadian culture.
Rick, he texted in. He says, I've never been more proud of my country since we have had an imbecile as president. Well, thank you, Rick. I would concur. Let's see. I'm proud to be an American even when liberals are in charge. Oh, what's this? Amazing that when libs are out of control, they aren't proud. How many loser people were moving out of the country if Trump won? Is it any coincidence they didn't? Hypocrites. I think that's spelled improperly. Typical Democrats. Well, thank you for your contribution.
Justin Trudeau was building that wall, man.
Keep them out.
Trying to keep us in. Trying to keep us out of the Canadian, perhaps my future motherland, Dom. Depends on how 2020 works out.
But there's a lot of people that I
would be greatly concerned on
justifiably concerned about this president. I mean, and how does that not impact your thought process on our governance? We are a self-governing country. We're supposed to be, right? If it weren't for the oil companies and the insurance companies and the pharmaceutical companies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, generally, we get to choose our representatives and they represent us. That's how it's supposed to be, right?
Well, that's how it's working for the pharmaceutical companies and the oil industry. Yeah, the petrochemical companies, they're doing just fine under this president, Tom.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Corporations are doing just fine, man. Lots to be proud of. Did you see our quarterlies?
Yeah, right. Well, it's always quarterly, hell. It's always about the next quarter. And, of course, that means it's very short-term thinking. And that's how the Republicans are right now. That's why they continue, in my opinion, to support this just disaster of a human being and a terrible representative for this country. Certainly a terrible representative for me. The best representative for me is me. And Donald Trump is nothing like I would expect from any reasonable politician. Let's also remember the Age of Enlightenment. It wasn't just fraternity and democracy. Also had a lot of reason in there, a lot of pushback against the organized religion that so many of these Republicans continue to embrace.
What is this enlightenment you speak of?
So did you, when Donald Trump was overseas, he was asked about Western liberalism.
Oh, man. Yeah, I know, but I'm not the president. I don't have to dig into college philosophy. Didn't think real hard.
But the guy's talking about San Francisco like these are bad liberals, and that's how he interpreted this question. And then he gets this word salad, blah blah blah. I mean, it's just such an embarrassment, man. So no, I get it. There's a reason why that those that are not Republicans, and even Republicans are down a little bit, but that are not proud or less proud of their country with this buffoon as our representative on the global stage.
More proud of our country when Obama was the president, and we're talking about Republicans.
Republicans, right.
Now, do you think that Donald Trump just took Ivanka and even, what's his face, Tucker? Do you think he just brought them to make him look better? I mean, was Eric on the trip? Because if Eric was there as well,
equally terrible. You know, really? I don't know. I mean, he brings Ivanka. Why did he bring? He didn't bring his wife. He brings Ivanka. What? And Tucker Carlson
said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
Perhaps, you sick bastard.
Now, I understand the White House is up in arms, Don, because apparently Ivanka stole a little too much of the boss's thunder.
What?
At the G20. No, there's articles out there in print.
I haven't heard.
I'll enlighten you.
I think we should be enlightened. I mean, what, a Trump? Well, she's no longer a Trump. Is she a Ivanka Kushner Trump? Like, is she a dasher? Or is she just...
she's Ivanka Trump.
See, so Trump v. Trump, man. It's like Kramer versus Kramer, but weirder and sicker.
Yeah, that would be sick and wrong and quite weird.
That's what I'm saying, man.
But I bet you the Trump supporters, that is, they'd never be prouder. Hey, finally got the really pretty girl. So what? It's his daughter.
Oh, no.
Come back with us. We are the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, having the conversations you're discouraged from having at the dinner table. 844-967-2789. Come back with us. We'll enlighten you. We'll always make you proud.
You got to be honest about what it means to lead a country. It means killing people.
I don't profess to be a political savant.
Sidewalks also swarming with people.
You're going to be dead.
I leave the politics to other people.
They're winners. Winners get to do what they want.
2015. Remember having to walk to Summerfest? ATU Local 998 transit workers will be taking tens of thousands of Milwaukee citizens to the festival grounds this summer. Public transit has become a tradition for a safe and fun Summerfest experience. Transit workers have been working in good faith without a new contract for 15 months. This has become an unsustainable situation and cannot become a political football. These transit workers serve the community and deserve to do so with proper health care and increased driver and passenger safety. Abley's Cuts and Service are cuts to our community. Call County Executive Chris Abley at 414-278-4338 and tell him to settle this contract. Tell him to fight for better service for this community. On your way to Summerfest, thank your driver for the uninterrupted service and tell them that you will call Chris Abley at 414-278-4338 because you support ATU Local 998 transit workers.
All workers benefit from unions, as unions create the highest standard in wages, health and welfare, retirement security, and workplace protections. Hello, this is Tom Bennett, President of Teamsters General Local 200. Your voice is your strength. The ability to build a stronger and better tomorrow begins today. Teamsters Local 200 represents workers in numerous industries, and our team is ready to sit down with you and your co-workers to build your unified team. Call Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit us on Facebook or www.teamsterslocal200.com.
Hey, Milwaukee, do you have an office to clean out or close out? Don't call the junk man. Call my friends at Madison Liquidators. Sustainability is their business model. They'll pick up and recycle and refurbish your used furniture. They'll help keep your old office furniture out of the landfill. Find them online at MadisonLiquidators.com. Call Madison Liquidators, 608-831-1012. Madison Liquidators. Tell them the Devil's Advocate sent you.
The Devil's Advocates. Radio for nasty women everywhere.
If you're down and confused and you don't remember.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, streaming on the Facebook pages, the YouTube pages, or on Twitter at Devil Radio. You can join this program on the phone, or you can text us out if you're too scared to talk on the radio, 844-967-2789.
This one going out to Ivanka Trump in North Korea. I've got an article, the Daily Beast. Ivanka's North Korea photobombs perplex White House officials. Read briefly. When Donald Trump and his advisors crossed from South Korea into the heavily fortified demilitarized zone between North and South Korea over the weekend, the cameras were ready. Images of the president greeting North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un as my friend in a last-minute meetup streamed across televisions worldwide. Trump wasn't alone. After a few snapshots, Ivanka Trump, along with her husband Jared Kushner, followed the president into what's known as the Freedom House, a building on the South Korean side of the zone. That's when the cameras stopped. The media was reportedly blocked from entering and covering the historic event. It wasn't until later that reporters learned that Ivanka and Kushner did more than accompany the president into the Freedom House. They were reportedly present at a closed-door meeting between the two leaders, who ended up speaking about one of the most sensitive topics on the planet, North Korea's nuclear weapons program. Now, does Nepotism Barbie have a security clearance, Tom?
I'm not clear.
I'm not clear that she ever did, and Kushner's is very questionable in its own right. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment. After the story was published, an official reached out and said, although they met Kim, Jared and Ivanka did not participate in the closed-door meeting. The official did not clarify which meeting Ivanka and Jared participated in or how many meetings that were held on the border, but two other officials told the Daily Beast that Ivanka and Kushner were in the room for part of the conversations that pertain to nuclear weapons and sanctions. Why not have your daughter tag along? It's take your daughter to the
work.
DMZ day.
Take your daughter to work day.
I leave the politics to other people.
President Trump has long used his family, particularly his son-in-law, to run various foreign policy projects, leading to investigations on Capitol Hill over security clearances and the administration's circumvention of traditional foreign policy procedure. Former Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said in a recent congressional interview that he was often left in the dark about various high-stakes foreign policy decisions because Kushner at times ran his own shadow State Department, meeting secretly with world leaders from countries such as Mexico and Saudi Arabia. There were other articles online. I didn't Google too hard, but other articles online that said, the White House staff were kind of pissed. First and foremost, why is she inserting herself into cocktail conversations at the G20?
Well, there's cocktails.
But, other than flirting and batting those pretty eyelashes down, what is she qualified to do at those conversations? Why in the hell is she in the room?
Well, you know why she's in the room. Daddy took her along to try to introduce her to leaders so she can have greater influence in the future if she decides to think that she could be president or something else other than the shoe designer that she apparently is, or a daddy's little girl.
You know what their ambition for her is? Future president, Tom.
So you got to get some exposure, right?
She
got to meet the folks.
I don't know if you noted that Donald Trump would not endorse his own vice president, Mike Pence, would not endorse him for the future presidency in 2024. He was quizzed. He was asked, hey, will you endorse Pence? Way too early for a decision like that. Why would I back up my guy? I mean, I might have a kid I need to throw that job to.
Right.
I mean, the boys, they're barely employable, and the daughter, she'd make a pretty little thing on the presidency, she should be the first female president. Right down, break that glass ceiling once and for all.
Just because?
The women of America would be so proud
if
it was
Ivanka Trump or Melania or any other Trumpster female, maybe the
Tiffany,
whatever. If they get themselves on the ballot and they want to go run for president, knock yourself out. You have the absolute right to do so.
Well, I'm not diminishing the gender, more the genealogy.
844-967-2789. Wisco Paul, you're up. Thanks for calling today, man. What do you got for us?
Hey, Paul.
Hey, as always, thanks for taking my call. How on earth does Trump get away with this day in and day out with his family, along with him in foreign travel? I just don't get it. Is the media that weak? How in the world does this happen? And thanks for taking my call. I don't understand it.
Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, as she's sometimes known, tweeted this out, Paul. It may be shocking to some, but being someone's daughter actually isn't a career qualification. It hurts our diplomatic standing when the president phones it in and the world moves on. Yeah, maybe.
Phones it in, man. He phones it in like John Barron phones it in, man. This guy just puts words together. Here's the best words and just mealy mouths his way to embarrassment of this country. And absolutely, AOC, you are dead on.
Dominic, one senior administration official, again, the Daily Beast, told the Daily Beast that the Trump team often tries to find roles for Ivanka and travels overseas because she is a talented spokeswoman. But it's unclear what Ivanka was doing in North Korea beyond the purely ceremonial. Two senior administration officials and one former said they do not consider the president's daughter a significant player on major foreign policy initiatives, including on the Koreas, though they all acknowledge that President Trump will at least solicit her advice for gut check on any manner of foreign policy and national security decision, striking other countries, climate agreements, and so on. She matters because the president says she matters, the former official said. Who in their right mind would cross her knowing that?
Me.
Don't cross her, Dom. Don't cross her.
To hell with her. She does not represent this country. Why are we using our taxpayer dollars to send her ass to North Korea for the photo op with Dad? Come on. No, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's a reality show, and it's not going to get any better. In fact, the investigations continue. Another lawsuit filed today for the president's taxes, and we know in a couple of weeks, Robert Mueller will testify. It's going to get uglier for the Trump family.
Well, they're preparing Ivanka for future leadership, Tom, and as Tucker Carlson will tell you, leadership of this country means killing people. And you don't want to be on Ivanka's list. Come back with us, Devil's Advocates. If you don't come back with us, you're all on the list. 844-967-2789. Your calls appreciated, welcomed, and demanded in hour 2.
If you missed something on the Devil's Advocates, don't worry. After you get over your shame, you can check out domandtroop.com. Podcasts and interviews updated daily.
I leave the politics to other people. That's Jared. I don't profess to be a political savant.
It can only be Jared.
2015. Remember having to walk to Summerfest? ATU Local 998 transit workers will be taking tens of thousands of Milwaukee citizens to the festival grounds this summer. Public transit has become a tradition for a safe and fun Summerfest experience. Transit workers have been working in good faith without a new contract for 15 months. This has become an unsustainable situation and cannot become a political football. These transit workers serve the community and deserve to do so with proper health care and increased driver and passenger safety. Abley's Cuts and Service are cuts to our community. Call County Executive Chris Abley at 414-278-4338 and tell him to settle this contract. Tell him to fight for better service for this community. On your way to Summerfest, thank your driver for the uninterrupted service and tell them that you will call Chris Abley at 414-278-4338 because you support ATU Local 998 transit workers.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
Suing to get Trump's tax returns. Why did the VP cancel his speech? I'm Christopher Cruz. The Democratic-led House Ways and Means Committee has sued the Treasury Department and the IRS to try to force them to release President Trump's tax returns. Correspondent Pamela Brown has reaction from the president's side.
The president's lawyers, Jay Sekulow, released a statement saying, "We will respond to this latest effort at presidential harassment in court."
No information from the Trump administration on why Vice President Mike Pence was abruptly called to the White House today. He was scheduled to speak at an event this afternoon, but he canceled at the last minute, says White House correspondent Sarah Westwood.
The White House is not specifying exactly why Vice President Pence did not make it to that event in Manchester, New Hampshire. He was supposed to go early this afternoon to an opioids roundtable in New Hampshire, but his plane actually never left Washington. That's according to the vice president's office.
A senior administration official says the cancellation was not related to the president's health or to national security. Mr. Trump promising a huge 4th of July parade and fireworks in Washington, says White House correspondent Caitlin Collins.
There are going to be tanks. They won't be parading down Pennsylvania Avenue out of concern about what they would do to the infrastructure here in Washington, but they will be stationed here on the streets. There are going to be these military flyovers from the Navy's Blue Angels, and of course the president himself is even going to give a speech.
Charlottesville, Virginia City Council voted last night to cancel an April 13th city holiday celebrating Thomas Jefferson's birthday. Jefferson was both a founding father and a slave-owning president. The city will instead recognize the emancipation of enslaved African Americans. In the semifinal of the Women's World Cup soccer tournament in France today, the United States beat England 2-1, advancing to the final on Sunday against the Netherlands or Sweden. Late word, the Census Bureau will print the 2020 census form without including a controversial citizenship question that President Trump wanted people to be asked. I'm Christopher Cruz.
So, here in the Badger State, we have our own expressions. When we're looking to go on vacation, we state, well, let's go up north. Hello, this is Tom Bennett, president of Teamsters Local 200. Here in the Badger State, we also have another expression, union yes. The strength of the labor movement depends on elected officials here in Wisconsin and Washington, D.C. that support the values of working families that raise the standards for all. Give us a call at Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit our website at www.teamsterslocal200.com or on Facebook at Teamsters Local 200. Be engaged.
Hi, I'm Anton Capella, Chief Technology Officer at Five Nines. Five Nines is more than just our name. It's the level of service you can expect. We provide 99.999% uptime. That's the highest availability and performance you can get. You have enough to worry about with your business data, web, security, and cloud services, so we'll manage your IT so you don't have to. Visit 5nines.com. That's the number 5nines.com.
Some July 4th activities in the nation's capital will force one of the country's busiest airports to stop runway service for more than 2 hours.
The FAA says operations at Reagan National Airport will be suspended between 6:15 and 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time to allow a ceremonial flyover of military aircraft at President Donald Trump's Independence Day event. Then operations will be impacted from 9 to 9:45 p.m. Eastern Time for a fireworks display. This year, the launch point for the fireworks has been moved from the National Mall to a nearby park to accommodate President Trump's Lincoln Memorial display. I'm John Stolness.
U.S. immigration officials have been mailing notices to people in the country illegally, telling them they're being fined almost $500,000 for not leaving. At the close, the Dow, S&P 500, and NASDAQ all up about 0.25%. The S&P 500 closed at 2,973, the second consecutive day the index has reached a record high. I'm Christopher Cruz.
Guy.
U.S. Senator Ron Johnson.
Mueller, in an exhaustive and excruciatingly detailed investigation, found no evidence of conspiracy conclusion. Kind of end of story.
You cannot say that. The evidence they found did not rise.
I just said
the evidence they doesn't make it true, sir. The evidence they found, according to the Mueller report, did not rise to criminal conspiracy. they used encrypted data. They deleted data. They didn't have access to some of the Russian players. You didn't know that your president that you voted for was in negotiations to build a condo in Moscow and give Putin a cherry on top.
Just dropped your pen.
I did. I get a little excited.
Calm down here, Don.
But here's a lot of things that I would say, yes, there is absolutely collusion. Now, does it rise to criminal conspiracy? They could not prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, that's not no conspiracy.
I'm just watching the veins pop out of your neck here, and I'm getting a little concerned about you, Don.
I'll be all right if you just answer the question, sir.
Listen to the Devil's Advocates live weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m.
For WRRD and WTTN, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. A year and a half ago, State Representative Jonathan Brostoff said he wouldn't cut his hair again until lawmakers passed a sign language bill addressing the state's shortage of licensed sign language interpreters. Last night, the bushy-haired assemblyman was finally able to get a haircut. Brostoff first introduced his interpreter licensing bill in the last session, but it didn't go far. This session, the legislation gained bipartisan support and was passed by both houses. Brostoff's bill tightens regulations for interpreters working in the medical and legal fields and allows entry-level interpreters to renew their licenses indefinitely without having to take a test. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN, Wisconsin's political talk.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we got some fine guests coming up in the happy hour today. They include Ed Fallone, a candidate for Wisconsin Supreme Court, and our good buddy Batman, Matt Rothschild, Executive Director, Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. He writes most recently on the gerrymandering ruling. We're also going to talk about the floodgate of campaign cash that, the Republicans opened up by changing the campaign finance laws here in the state of Wisconsin. Oh, yeah, the results are in. Tripled the amount of campaign finance cash being spent here in Wisconsin, Dom.
Way to go, Republicans.
But, buddy, I understand you've got some more breaking national news. The census question, the Trump administration. What's the news, Dom?
Crudy the Hill is reporting the Trump administration said Tuesday that it was dropping a citizenship question from the 2020 census days after the Supreme Court ruled against the question's inclusion. Former White House lawyer Daniel Jacobson made the revelation in a tweet Tuesday, sharing a screenshot of an email he received from a Justice Department lawyer confirming the decision. DOJ attorney Kate Bailey confirmed the decision in an email sent Tuesday to groups challenging the question, a copy of which was obtained by the Hill. And here's a quote. "We can confirm that the decision has been made to print the 2020 decennial census questionnaire without a citizenship question, and that the printer has been instructed to begin the printing process." In a 5-4 ruling last week, Chief Justice John Roberts wrote that the rationale behind adding the citizenship question to next year's census didn't match up with the evidence provided in the case, temporarily blocking the question from appearing in the survey. We have some sound of Donald Trump. Brian, I believe we have some Trump yesterday on the census and today. Let's start with yesterday's cut 103.
The Democrats want to treat the illegals with health care and with other things better than they treat the citizens of our country. If you look at a coal miner that has black lung disease, you're talking about people that get treated better than the coal miner.
Yeah, but Republicans blocked that in the Congress, Tom, and I would point out Trump is the one that kept bragging about bringing back the coal jobs.
And then Trump this morning on the citizenship question, cut 105.
There's a big difference to me between being a citizen of the United States and being an illegal.
That's it? That's it. So, no citizenship question on the census. Let's do one more, 106.
You go knock on doors of houses, check houses, you go through all this detail, and you're not allowed to ask whether or not somebody is a citizen?
You know what he'll ask instead, or at least direct the census people?
What?
Are you very proud to be an American?
Are you proud?
To be an American. And by asking that, you're not asking are they an American, but just whether or not they feel pride in being an American. You see how that works?
I see what you're saying.
Now, immigration, the conversation of immigration, it's jumped out in the front, Dom. New polling, also from thehill.com. Max Greenwood, apparently, that's Lee's cousin, I think. Max Greenwood writes at The Hill, immigration has surpassed health care as the issue that voters see as the most important facing the United States, according to a new Harvard-Harris poll survey released exclusively to The Hill today. 42% of registered voters pointed towards immigration as the top issue, compared to 38% who chose healthcare, the survey shows. Older people were more likely to pick immigration as their top issue. That seems asinine, with 55% of voters 65 and older saying so. Only 25% of voters 18 to 24 chose immigration as the most important issue. Now, certainly it is the most important issue to people being held in detention centers and overcrowded, unsanitary conditions, Tom. But as far as the nation's problems go right now, I think it's down the list. Honestly, I do. I'm not sure it needs to be number one, certainly compared to the healthcare of, 300 plus million Americans?
The older folks are the ones that are really pushing this, right? And, of course, those older folks, probably older conservatives, watching Fox News and listening to Donald Trump. And they believe what he says, and I do not. Now, certainly, it is an issue. What is happening on our southern borders, these detention centers, these concentration camps, that is a problem that needs to be rectified quickly. But immigration as a whole, we are a country of immigrants. That is not a bad thing.
Dominic, here is a quote. Mark Penn, the co-director of the Harvard-Harris poll, he says, for most of the last few years, healthcare, a Democratic issue, has been the most important issue. But as the full nature of the problems at the border become evident, it has risen to the top issue in the country. That's why Democrats in the Senate and House got together to pass emergency relief legislation. Now, President Trump has hinged much of his political career on a hardline message of cracking down on unauthorized border crossings, as well as tightening legal immigration. Democrats, on the other hand, are advocating for looser restrictions on immigration, with many of the party's presidential candidates coming out in favor of decriminalizing illegal border crossings. The trend towards immigration as the top issue also marks a shift away from the political conversation in 2018, which hinged primarily on health care. Now, Dom, we were in Homestead, Florida. We were at an immigrant detention center last Wednesday with Elizabeth Warren.
A for-profit minor migrant detention center, yes.
Yes, and that was certainly an issue that helped drive the debate on Wednesday night, less so on Thursday night, not inconsequential, but it was certainly her driving issue Wednesday night, the night when Elizabeth Warren kind of stole center stage, if you will. And now we've got a number of both Congress people and presidential candidates going to all different locations, these immigration detention centers. And there are stories out today, and some of these stories not very appealing, depending on your point of view. But we have a number of female Congress people, Democrats, reporting that they felt unsafe based on the conduct of the guards? Got that article?
We have several articles. We have the Ocasio-Cortez says dispute with Border Patrol agent started after one tried to take a stealth selfie. From the Washington Post, Katie Medier. a day spent tweeting about the behavior of Border Patrol agents and the facilities they manage, Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez took to the platform again late Monday night to respond to accusations in a news report that she screamed at officers in a threatening manner while touring one Texas site with other members of Congress. The report in the, wait for it, Washington Examiner quoted two unnamed witnesses who claimed that they, along with 40 other people, saw Ocasio-Cortez crying and screaming and yelling at a Border Patrol facility in El Paso. The report claimed the agents wanted to respond but were held back because she is a lawmaker. Here's what AOC tweeted in response. To these CBP officers saying they felt threatened by me, they confiscated my phone, and they were all armed. I'm 5 feet 4 inches. They're just upset I exposed their inhumane behavior. In a statement Tuesday, the Congresswoman's Communications Office called the Examiner's report an inaccurate depiction of events. The Congresswoman spoke sternly to a CBP agent that tried to take a stealth selfie with the Congresswoman in a mocking manner, despite the gravity of the situation. The statement said. Oh, imagine that. You're a member of Congress in a federal facility. Now, I don't know if this one is also for-profit or not. Certainly the one in Homestead, Florida is. In these, you see these conditions that are deplorable. And you're down there because you have a concern for the human beings that are being held there. And these security guards, these Border Patrol agents are trying to sneak photo selfie with the representative to mock her. And we all know now, of course, what was the 1015 secret Facebook group? Well, that
Dominic,
was...
I'll
go there.
From the Post.
Go ahead.
Earlier that day, ProPublica had published a report exposing a private Facebook page for U.S. Border Patrol agents called I'm 1015 after the law enforcement code for aliens in custody. The group posted xenophobic and sexist comments, remarks about the death of migrants, and sexually explicit images edited to include those of Ocasio-Cortez. While touring the facilities, Ocasio-Cortez linked the behavior in a Facebook group to what she said she witnessed at the border. The Congresswoman described conversations with a woman who told her they'd gone 2 weeks without showers, had been told to drink toilet water when their cell sink broke, and were fearful of retribution for even speaking to the congressional delegation. She went on, or at least her assistant went on, to tweet this out. Imagine all your hateful trolls online, but with guns, the Congresswoman's chief of staff wrote on Twitter. Imagine walking into a fenced area full of them, no exit. You don't get to take any cameras or phones with you. And those trolls with guns, they're the ones in charge of protecting you. That's what AOC faced today. And other members of Congress also said they did not feel safe in the facilities. Rep. Norma J. Torres, Dem from California, who joined the Democratic delegation for the Texas trip, said Tuesday on CNN that she certainly did not feel safe while touring the detention center. When we walked inside the facility, there were CBP agents taking selfies with us in the background, Torres said. None of us had a cell phone to be able to record these actions by the agents. But imagine, this is what they're doing to members of Congress in front of their leadership. So you can imagine what happens behind closed doors. Brian Hastings, chief of operations for Border Patrols, told CNN that they take the Facebook post seriously and said that they do not represent the thoughts of the men and women of the U.S. Border Patrol. Don't let the actions of a few be representative of the whole is what we'd ask. A few bad apples and all, Dom. Hastings also said that appropriate disciplinary actions will be taken against any Border Patrol agents employed by the U.S. government. The information for ProPublica's report has been turned over to the Office of the Inspector General and the Customs and Border Patrol's own Office of Internal Affairs. So writes the Washington Post, Dom. That would be a little disturbing. If I was a congressperson of a female persuasion, they took my phone upon entry. There was evidence that a Facebook page existed where people, put up revenge porn
Images of AOC being forced to commit oral sex on the president, something along those lines. Yeah, that's funny. Share it. Hell. That kind of mentality does not bode well for humanitarian behavior.
Yeah, imagine how they treat the kids, the women. Come back with us. Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Always like hearing from you. Phone lines, they're open. 844-967-2789. We'll be right back.
They hire usually good people. I hate the children being taken away. Our country is full. Our area is full. The sector is full. Can't take you anymore. I'm sorry. Can't happen. So turn around. That's the way it is.
An effective, safe, and reliable public transit system is the lifeblood of any community. HU Local 998 transit workers believe in this community, which is why they have been working in good faith without a new contract for over 15 months. They are simply asking for the same health care and increased driver and passenger safety. This is possible, but only with Chris Abley signing a fair contract. Join the Amalgamated Transit Union and fight the service cuts. Call 414-278-4338 and tell Chris Abley that you support HU Local 998 transit workers and the fight for public transit.
All workers benefit from unions, as unions create the highest standard in wages, health and welfare, retirement security, and workplace protections. Hello, this is Tom Bennett, President of Teamsters General Local 200. Your voice is your strength. The ability to build a stronger and better tomorrow begins today. Teamsters Local 200 represents workers in numerous industries, and our team is ready to sit down with you and your co-workers to build your unified team. Call Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit us on Facebook or www.teamsterslocal200.com.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
5 Nines, your local single-source IT solutions provider. Specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 5nines.com.
From Milwaukee to Madison, state government shapes our lives for better or worse. Let's talk about it. I'm State Representative Jocasta Zamaripa. Join me for the Jocasta Show, Mondays at 6 p.m. on WRRD, 1510 a.m.
When they go low, we get high. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. It's the 420 break, but you can join us on the phones when you're done at 844-967-2789. We'll get to some callers in just a moment, but we do have some audio of AOC in this regard. Brian, let's play it. Cut number 108.
There's abuse in these facilities. There's abuse. This was them on their best behavior, and they put them in a room with no running water, and these women were being told by CBP officers to drink out of the toilet. They were drinking water out of the toilet, and that was them knowing what a congressional visit was coming. This is CBP on their best behavior, telling people to drink out of the toilet.
Let's keep going. AOC 109.
I mean, in that last facility, I was not safe from the officers in that facility.
Do you have any comment about what was posted about you in the alleged Facebook group?
I mean, I think it's just it's just indicative of the violent culture that we saw on the inside.
Yeah, it seems that culture may be very prevalent in the Custom and Border Patrol, perhaps. We'll find out after what investigations. One more, then we'll get to the callers. 844-967-2789.
What we saw today was unconscionable. No child should ever be separated from their parent. No child should ever be taken from their family. No woman should ever be locked up in a pen when they have done no harm to another human being. They should be given water. They should be given basic access to human rights. And it is a false notion. The idea that we have to choose between people is a false notion. No child ever has to suffer for the benefit of another. And I will never accept that argument. Thank you.
AOC, I'm liking that young lady more and more every day. Callers, 844-967-2789. Jeannie from Eau Claire, you're next. Thanks for calling. Jeannie, what do you think?
Hi, I say 3 cheers for that woman. I just love that AOC. She's amazing. Yeah, I watched that. I could hardly stomach, watching what was going on there with the hecklers and the smart asses. Sorry, use the word smart ass. But anyway, I can't believe, I have never seen Republicans act the way that they do. I mean, there's always spats back and forth between Republicans and Democrats. But however, I've never seen them so repugnant in my life. I mean, they just stand there and they don't do anything, and they really don't give a crap about the people in our country, and it's alarming to me, and it's really it's mortifying. And I see this happening, and I see what's going on, with the Border Patrol, and it disgusts me, and the disdain that they, have toward women, and then when women are complaining about the child abuse that's going down there, that our government's involved in child abuse, and it's child abuse. There's no getting around it, and abuse of women, and families, and it's disgusting. It is. It's like, if there was ever hell on earth, just look down there. And if the sinners are standing in line, you can put it on those Republicans. I can't find the words because it just alarms me and makes me so sickened. And it makes me so sickened the way that they use religion to justify their evil behaviors. It's criminal. Anyway, guys, I am not proud of being American right now, and in fact, I'm effing ashamed. So there you go.
Jeannie, was it?
You guys have a good day. But yeah.
Was it easier when the Republicans hid their true colors in the cloakrooms, when they didn't show the public just how despicable they could be?
Because
they were always like this, Jeannie.
I know
deep
they were.
down, so many of them, they've been hiding it, and now Trump has given them license to be full-blown misogynists, xenophobic, racist. And now their true colors are being exposed. And those that aren't like that, they need to renounce those that are.
I agree. You're right. But it wasn't so in your face. And they did try to. You're right. They did try to hide it. Now they join in on it almost. It's really. Yeah, you're right. The red flags are flying all over the place. Everybody needs to take cover, and they need to choose their sides and say, hey, we're not going to put up with this kind of stuff. If you are a Republican, boy, I have no respect for people that support that kind of party. I really don't. I hate to say that because I've been an independent my entire life, and it just disgusts me. So anyway, thanks, guys, for listening to me to go off today. You have a good day.
Thank you, Jeannie. Anytime.
Thanks, Gene. I've seen it written, perhaps on social media, but if you ever wondered how you would have reacted to the Nazis, how you would have reacted when they were, rounding up your neighbors, how are you reacting right now? Because it's happening. How are you reacting right now? You want to know what you would have done back in World War II? What are you doing right now? Few unhappy faces on Facebook? That ain't enough. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Phone lines open. Want to hear from you. 844-967-2789.
Want to be more presidential? Tweet the Devil's Advocates at Devil Radio.
Congresswoman Gwen Moore.
I thought it was really important to share with people my diagnosis of cancer. The Affordable Care Act is the kind of thing that's going to keep me alive for a long, long time. Why? because they can't throw me off of my health insurance simply because I have cancer. The Affordable Care Act, Obamacare provided for that. They can't raise my rates and my premiums so high beyond community rating and beyond age rating. Obamacare created that. They can't cap the amount of benefits that they are willing to give me over a lifetime. I have medicine that costs $18,000 a month. They can't force me to pay out-of-pocket costs beyond a certain point. All of that happened because of Obamacare. Thank you, Obama.
You can listen to the Devil's Advocates interviews at domandcroot.com. Click on the podcast tab and select interviews. That's domandcroot.com.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
An effective, safe, and reliable public transit system is the lifeblood of any community. ATU Local 998 transit workers believe in this community, which is why they have been working in good faith without a new contract for over 15 months. They are simply asking for the same health care and increased driver and passenger safety. This is possible, but only with Chris Abley signing a fair contract. Join the Amalgamated Transit Union and fight the service cuts. Call 414-278-4338 and tell Chris Abley that you support ATU Local 998 transit workers and the fight for public transit.
Hey, Milwaukee, do you have an office to clean out or close out? Don't call the junk man. Call my friends at Madison Liquidators. Sustainability is their business model. They'll pick up and recycle and refurbish your used furniture. They'll help keep your old office furniture out of the landfill. Find them online at MadisonLiquidators.com. Call Madison Liquidators, 608-831-1012. Madison Liquidators. Tell them the Devil's Advocate sent you.
Here in the Badger State, we have our own expressions. When we're looking to go on vacation, we state, well, let's go up north. Hello, this is Tom Bennett, President of Teamsters Local 200. Here in the Badger State, we also have another expression, union yes. The strength of the labor movement depends on elected officials here in Wisconsin and Washington, D.C. that support the values of working families that raise the standards for all. Give us a call at Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit our website at www.teamsterslocal200.com or on Facebook at Teamsters Local 200. Be engaged.
5 Nines, your local single-source IT solutions provider. Specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 5nines.com.
Teens in foster care will love you, even if you don't know the lingo.
Dad bod, noun. The result of the occasional donut, always washed down with confidence.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council. Visit adoptuskids.org.
For WRRD and WTTN, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Summerfest cranks up again today after taking a one-day break. Music artists you can see tonight include Young the Giant, Liz Phair, the Almond Betts Band, Black Pumas, and Reverend Raven and the Chain-Smokin' Altar Boys. Alpine Valley Music Theater is having its busiest season in 15 years. There are 8 shows booked for this summer with another festival-style concert still to be announced. The Dave Matthews Band is there this weekend, with shows still to come from The Who, Phish, and Jimmy Buffett. And the Brewers beat the Reds last night 8-6. Game 2 of that 4-game series is tonight in Cincinnati. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN, Wisconsin's political talk.
Bring it? Oh, it's already been brought in. Dom and Croot are the Devil's Advocates.
More Devil's Advocates, more of you on the phones in just a moment. 844-967-2789. Couple of fine guests coming in the happy hour today, Dom. Ed Fallone, candidate for Wisconsin Supreme Court, and our good buddy Matt Rothschild, Executive Director, Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. And tomorrow, we ain't done yet, man. We got one more day. Tomorrow will be a Wednesday that feels like a Friday, as you would say. But we're going to bring some rockers in here in the 5 o'clock hour, Dom, the happy hour tomorrow. We're going to introduce you fine people to Rocker and Jimmy K, man. You know, we do a lot of politics up around here, but on Saturday night, we're going to turn it over for a little local rock and roll show, Dom.
Nice.
Maximum Inc. Radio. It launches this Saturday, July 6th, right here on Talk 92.7 FM. Starts at about 7 o'clock. You'll hear it on WRD as well. Jimmy K and the Rocker, they'll be in studio tomorrow. They better come bearing gifts, rock and roll style. You know how it goes.
Yeah, all right. I can't
Gas, grass, or cash, boys.
Nobody rides for free. 844-967-2789. But the callers, you can dial for toll-free. Dick from Madison, you're up. Thanks for calling. Dick, what do you got?
Hey, Dick.
Against the backdrop of everything you're talking about, this clown's going to throw himself a parade on the 4th of July. That's going to cost us how much?
About
I'm going to have Sherman
million
Sherman tanks. There haven't been a Sherman tank since 1956, but anyway. No, what a clown. This is the 4th of July. He's so pathetically unpopular that he has to throw a party for himself. And then he'll talk about the crowd size. And speaking from the Lincoln Memorial, this is just absurd what's going on here. But of course, what you would see in the Soviet Union in the day. Tanks rolling down the street and flyovers. And this isn't the 4th of July. In this country, not that I know of. I'm 63 years old. I've never seen a president do anything so absurd in my life.
You know what I am? I'm a nationalist.
No, you're a fascist.
Well said, Dick.
That he is. Thanks for the call, Dick. It is. And remember, he was in France, right? And he saw this military parade, and he just got a parade. So excited. Day. Wow, he was so excited. We want that. We want that. Of course, he tried before and failed, and now he's going to do this. And I'm with you. I mean, this is ridiculous. You don't. If you're smart, you don't say you're smart. You know what I'm saying? If you are a powerful influence in the world, you don't need to show off your military might down in D.C. for $100 million of taxpayer dollars. Hell, we got 300 bases all over this globe. People know who we are. This is unnecessary and totally against, in my opinion, what everything this country should be about. Trump is going to make it about Trump, and if that does not happen, if Trump is benevolent and kind and talks about the birth of this country and all that, okay, I guess, you want to have a speech, you're the president, you can make a speech. But I highly doubt that will occur.
Dominic, it is not an unprecedented event. 1970. Trying to prop up Nixon, Vietnam War days, they had a big event in D.C., and apparently it was, something that was sort of appropriated by the Nixon campaign team, sponsored by the Marriott Group, the hotel people, and they had lots and lots of people come, and it was such a fine event, singers, and Bob Hope was even there, Dom, and then Bob Hope got on the stage, and he looked out at the back of the crowd where the confrontations had begun and the tear gassing had begun, and he said it kind of looks like Vietnam from here. That's how it went the last time a president tried this. The only difference? Well, Nixon had the good sense to spend some time in California for the 4th. He sent a video message. Right. He didn't block it off with the VIP section so he could offer, perks to donors and friends
and Russian contacts. I would bet. Also, Curdy, I read some of the reporting of that time, and like in the Washington Post, they refer to the protesters as long-hairs, like
hippies
literally
and yippies.
Like the long-hairs and the police, had a confrontation. I'm like, long-hairs? I got long hair. The writing style is a little different these days.
I would be at the 4th Festival on the mall in D.C., Dom. Just you may not fit in.
844-967-2789. I love a parade. You all fit into the Devil's Advocates. Paul from Milwaukee, you are next. Thanks for calling, Paul. What do you got?
Hey, gentlemen. How are you?
Good.
Good, Paul.
Good. So I hear the studio smelled a little better while you guys were gone.
I highly doubt that.
Smelled a little worse, probably, Paul.
Look. So it's back to normal.
Oh, it
right?
smelled just fine.
They do often send pest control around because they hear there's skunks on Brady Street.
Get rid of them, right? Anyways, this is the face of the GOP, right? The caged immigrants down in done at the border.
Yes.
I think it's the real face of the GOP. I think it's their true colors.
Oh, sure, yeah. And the fact that Trump can be spooked by a general on Fox News, that is the face of a weak leader, for one thing. I didn't want him to do that, but the fact that he was influenced by Fox News is just incredulous. And the fact that he's having this thing in D.C. with the July 4th thing, that is the face of the GOP. And until otherwise, it is also the face of the Wisconsin GOP, right? Until they speak up against this, until
they
Johnson
will not
speaks up against
speak
it.
against it, Paul. I trapped Scott Fitzgerald at a press conference, a WisPolitics luncheon back in 2016. Fitzy of the Trump, Pence fame. He got very red-faced. That was right about the time the Access Hollywood film video dropped. And I asked him, but what if it's true? And I kept asking him a series of questions. What could happen? Would a credible accusation of rape, would you change colors then? There was no circumstance that I could lay out for Scott Fitzgerald that would change his support for the almighty Cheeto Jesus. I don't think they're going to change colors, Paul. And they all deserve our condemnation because they all belong to the party of Trump. All of them. They're all freaking Trumpsters. You cannot delineate yourself and still run as a Republican, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so the mem now is this is the face of the GOP across the nation, including Wisconsin, and vote blue no matter who, right? So, yeah, gentlemen, it's good to have you back in Wisconsin.
All right, Paul. It's good to be back, man. A lot of running around, but we're going to do it some more. The end of this month, we'll be in Motown, in Detroit, at the Fox Theater for the second round of the presidential debates, and hope you all join us.
It's not the Foxy News Theater, is it?
No, man, no. It's a historical building in the fine city of Detroit. Kim from Milwaukee, you are next. Thanks for calling today, Kim. What do you got for us?
Hi, how are you doing today?
Good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I just have a concern. When I was younger, I saw a movie about how they had what was typical of a concentration camp for the Japanese people and how they really frowned on it, and it was so sad, and we had come so far, supposedly, and we were frowning on what happened here, but then it was like, of course we'll never do that again. And what I'm seeing now is that happening again. And when I think about the Nazis and what happened with them, I'm pretty sure they didn't just come out and start imprisoning the Jews. It was a gradual process. And who's to say now it's the Mexicans at the Mexican border and their children? Who's to say who they choose next? And we can look the other way, just like we are uncomfortable at looking at people who are less fortunate than us at times, but turning the other way is not going to do anything. So my question to you is, what can we do?
Well, Kim, I think we should be out in the streets. Certainly, I think we should remain politically active. I appreciate you listening to this show, and I think that's just a small step, certainly. But I think we should express our outrage in any way possible. I mean, we're beyond, likes and dislikes on Facebook. It's time to get out there and march in the streets. It's certainly time to go knock doors. And I would say, Kim, we have to be as politically activated as we have ever been in our entire lives. I know the whole "this is the most important election ever" thing. I've heard it many times. This is the only time I ever believed it. And Kim, I think if we don't change as a nation, if we don't renounce Trumpism, Republicanism, and this inhumanity that they are just fine with, Kim, I think it will certainly shade us all as a people. I think it's now or never, Kim. We either fight, we either stand right now, put our heels down, and fight like hell, or, they're coming for us next, all of us.
Here's a hypothetical. If someone takes a bus, let's say, of any of those kids in Homestead and drives away with them, who's going to go and check if they arrive? Who's going to tell us if they arrive, and how do we know that happened?
Arrive where?
Exactly.
Central America, Guatemala? Where are you sending these kids to?
That's my point.
Exporting them without their parents? I mean, you can't even keep track of the kids you separate from their parents on the border. And Republicans seemingly have no big issue with that. It's just, a little clerical error here and there. So what? We're just talking about 2-month-olds, children kept in unsanitary conditions. And the fact that Republicans are nearly silent on this topic, I think just speaks to the fact they all condone this behavior, or they're willing to allow it to happen for a few frickin' extra pennies on their paycheck, for a tax cut. Kiss my ass.
Kim, you got anything else?
No, thank you. You guys have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for calling, Kim.
844-967-2789. Well, I mean, it's right. I mean, this
assessment of Republicans in humanity.
It's a solid, fair question, and you're right. We got to do something more than just the social media bitching. I mean, these are human beings that are seeking asylum, and as a policy, we are separating from their parents. And I see the Trumpsters. If you break the law, you go to jail as an American citizen. You don't get to see your kids. Yeah, but these people, they're not breaking the law. They're seeking asylum.
What if they took our kids away for speeding?
What would the GOP in Texas do? What would the Border Patrol agents do when Joe and Mary came over, right, and had little baby Jesus, and they came around and did a sweep? Would they separate Jesus from the mother Mary and the stepdad Joe? According to their behavior now, they absolutely would. You don't talk to me about your faith and your religion and how Jesus saves us all. You're waiting for Jesus to come down and save these kids? That ain't happening. This is on us. This is on you, GOP. You got to get it done.
More Devil's Advocates, more of you on the phones. They're open. 844-967-2789. We'll be right back.
You know what I am? I'm a nationalist.
I love a parade.
Razzle dazzle!
1, 2, 3, 4.
I am so proud that you are citizens of our country.
I love a parade. Here, man, I just want to stand.
You are a madman. I want to party with you, cowboy. The two of us together, forget it.
So thank you.
Hello, I'm Tom Bennett, President of Teamsters Local 200. In 1903, the International Brotherhood of Teamsters was founded, and our local union was founded in 1935 here in Milwaukee. During the last 115 years, the principles and values for the Teamsters Union have made many improvements for working families, creating a pathway to the American middle class. Teamsters have assisted families and communities in times of need. Currently, our active and retired membership are collectively working to benefit working families across this nation for retirement security and addressing long-term social needs here in Madison, Wisconsin, and in Washington, D.C. American workers do have a voice in the workplace. Let Teamsters Local 200 be part of that action plan for you. For more information, please visit us on Facebook at Teamsters Local 200 or visit our website at www.teamsterslocal200.com or give us a call at 414-771-6363. Teamsterslocal200.com or 414-771-6363.
Hey, Milwaukee, do you have an office to clean out or close out? Don't call the junk man. Call my friends at Madison Liquidators. Sustainability is their business model. They'll pick up and recycle and refurbish your used furniture. They'll help keep your old office furniture out of the landfill. Find them online at MadisonLiquidators.com. Call Madison Liquidators, 608-831-1012. Madison Liquidators. Tell them the Devil's Advocate sent you.
5 your local single-source IT solutions provider. Specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Gun violence, immigration, healthcare, reproductive rights, issues that affect you every day. That's my business. I'm State Representative Jocasta Zamaripa. Join me for the Jocasta Show, Mondays at 6 p.m. on WRRD, 1510 a.m.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates.
And We are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, streaming on the Facebook page, on YouTube, or on Twitter at Devil Radio. And you can call or text at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, I got a brief headline update, and then we'll get back to the phones at 844-967-2789. Morgan Chalfant reports at The Hill. The House Oversight and Reform Committee has scheduled a hearing next week to hear testimony from Trump administration officials about the separation and treatment of immigrant children at the southern border. Committee Chairman Elijah Cummings has invited Acting Homeland Security Secretary Kevin McAleenan and Acting Custom and Border Patrol Commissioner Mark Morgan to testify at a hearing on July 12th. Neither has confirmed their appearance, according to the committee. The Trump quote from Cummings: "The Trump administration's actions at the southern border are grotesque and dehumanizing. There seems to be open contempt for the rule of law and for basic human decency. The committee needs to hear directly from the heads of these agencies as soon as possible in light of the almost daily reports of abuse and defiance," Cummings said, adding that he hoped McAleenan and Morgan would appear voluntarily at the hearing. I'd just get the subpoenas ready, boys. The announcement closely followed the release of a new Homeland Security Inspector General report describing dangerous overcrowding and prolonged detention of immigrant children and adults at facilities in the Rio Grande Valley that require immediate attention and action. That's the Trump administration IG saying that, Dom. The report issued Tuesday says 31% of the children at the facilities were being held longer than the 72 hours permitted, according to the Border Patrol custody data. The hearing is expected to focus on reports of unaccompanied children being held in overcrowded and dirty facilities in Clint, Texas, and other parts of the country, as well as newly issued Inspector General report. A cadre of Democratic lawmakers visited a border facility in Clint on Tuesday to survey the conditions and investigate reports of mistreatment. We talked about some of that, Dom.
Investigations. In the meantime, they're going to continue to hold
public hearings.
In the meantime, they're going to continue to hold these kids longer than they're supposed to. And what kind of punishment do they get?
A stern lecture from Elijah Cummings.
We're doing an internal investigation. 844-967-2789. Annie from Watertown, you're next. Thanks for calling. Annie, what do you got?
Hey, Annie.
You know, I hear this thing about Pence's plane being called back. My brain goes to, oh boy, you know, maybe something bad happened to him or the fellow in the White House. And I'm going, what is happening to me? They are turning me into a bad person, you know? I mean, I'm supposed to be a tree-hugging, anti-war, peace-loving, and whatever else they call
Annie,
Democrats, you know?
I would call you more of an optimist, more of a glass-half-full sort. Half full of trouble for the Pence Trump presidencies. No, of course it's not nice, Annie, but I forgive you.
Yeah, I forgive you as well, Annie. Now, if you were to punch a Nazi, I would forgive you.
Yeah, it's sort of like, you know, if you went back in time, would you kill Hitler type thing, you know?
Hell yeah, I would.
Or not?
Would I kill baby Hitler? No, because I don't believe in killing other human beings. No, I would not.
Yeah.
Would you kill baby Hitler, Annie?
No, because I just don't think killing is right.
It's a baby!
You're right, though.
I mean, push baby Trump down and take his candy away.
Hell yeah, I would.
I guess because I'm a tree-hugging, anti-war, peace-loving liberal, huh?
I guess so, Annie. Thanks for the call. We do appreciate it. 844-967-2789. Make sure you stick around at the top of the hour. Ed Fallone, candidate for Wisconsin's Supreme Court, and he's a law professor at Marquette.
And the son of an immigrant, I would point out.
And a Marquette University Law School professor. He will join us in the happy hour. In the meantime, let's get some more callers in. Our friend Chris from Sun Prairie. Thanks for calling today, Chris. What do you got?
Hey, Chris.
Hi. I heard one of your callers asking what we could do. And I just wanted to call in and give some people some ideas. Lightsforliberty.org is hosting candlelight vigils all around the country. So if people go to lightsforliberty.org, they can check on the local events and see if they have an event in their area. And there are a lot of events in a lot of states. There's some key events that are going to be held outside some of these detention facilities. This is sponsored by many groups, national, international groups, local groups. And if people go out to their website, they can text LIGHTS to 977-79, and that'll connect them with Lights for Liberty. And this is on the 12th of July. And I would really recommend that people go out to their site, look at their video, look at the events that are going on, look at some of the information they have out there, and see how you can plug in and be a part of this opposition to these concentration camps in our country. I think that we need to have a multitude of people, millions of people out in the streets on the 12th. It should be a really important day for us because, as you said earlier, Mike, people are doing now what they would have done when the Nazis were coming into power. We are looking at that kind of a situation. I truly believe that. We have children that are dying in these camps, people being told to drink from toilets. We have members of our Congress that don't even feel safe with people that are federal employees that are supposed to be guarding and taking care of people being threatening to them. So I really hope people will go out to that site and see how they can get plugged in. If there's not an event in your area, you can create one. You can register there, and then your event would be on that event page as well. So I think we all need to stand up, and I hope a lot of people will get out there on the 12th.
Chris, really appreciate you informing the audience. There was something of an action in Milwaukee today at the federal courthouse. A lot of protesters showed up. I saw our friend, Christy Newman-Ortiz, our co-host in the morning. Earl Ingram was there. He live-streamed that event. They blocked down the roads today, Dom. I think these actions have begun. We probably got time for one more caller this hour. Maria from Long Beach. We're kind of short on time, but it's yours.
Yes, I just, with all the protests going on, nothing seems to be shown on the news. How do we get the news media to highlight these things? Because the Republicans have the media, and it's impossible for us to get our attention across or have people, the American people, really see what's going on.
Well, I think these congressional trips help, Maria, at least in terms of bringing attention to these specific detention centers. I know last Wednesday when we were in Homestead, Florida, it was us, Elizabeth Warren, and probably more than 100 press members. So it's not like there's zero attention being paid, but I think those with prominence, those that are luminaries of sort, are going to have to go there. You're never going to see any sort of coverage on Fox News, Maria, at least not from the perspective of humanity. But, other than playing it out on the radio, we point out, Maria, you live in California. We here in the state of Wisconsin, there's 81 right-wing talk radio stations doing what we do, and then there's little old us. Yes. There's little old us.
And, in Los Angeles, there is no progressive radio station either. It's all Rush Limbaugh.
How can that be? I mean, Los Angeles is a huge market.
I have to listen to you on iHeartRadio and your website stream, but there's
Maria, are we still playing out on iHeart somewhere? Which iHeart station?
No, I had that was at first. That's how I found you, but now I've gone through the website stream. So but I have to find you. It's really hard to get that left or other than right wing radio, out in the public. So it's really, really hard for people that believe like we do, and we get no coverage.
Well, Maria, thank you for listening, and please tell hundreds and thousands of your friends. We don't want to be hard to find. We try to make ourselves readily accessible. I mean, I got Dom working the street corners nearly every night.
Come on in.
844-967-2789. Hold those phone calls, though. We got some fine guests coming in studio. Ed Fallone, candidate for Wisconsin Supreme Court. And then our good friend Matt Rothschild, Executive Director, Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. It's going to be a happy hour. Please stick around. I know you will.
Want to see the super sexiest political show on earth? Check out The Devil's Advocates on YouTube.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest
the Democrats use it.
Naomi Croth here. My family has owned and operated Bachman Construction since 1954. As an all-in-one design-build commercial contractor, Bachman Construction works with project owners from beginning to end of each project to unify responsibility and streamline communication. We provide more opportunities for owner participation and allow for better cost control in the design and construction of a project. For projects big and small, Bachman Construction is your design-build choice for collaborative construction services.
All workers benefit from unions, as unions create the highest standard in wages, health and welfare, retirement security, and workplace protections. Hello, this is Tom Bennett, President of Teamsters General Local 200. Your voice is your strength. The ability to build a stronger and better tomorrow begins today. Teamsters Local 200 represents workers in numerous industries, and our team is ready to sit down with you and your co-workers to build your unified team. Call Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit us on Facebook or www.teamsterslocal200.com.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
No citizenship question, Trump tax returns. I'm Ann Cates. Families will no longer be asked if they're citizens on the upcoming census. Correspondent Caitlin Collins.
The Trump administration has decided to drop its effort to add that citizenship question to the 2020 census. That's something that's been making its way through the courts. The president even said he was going to talk to lawyers about delaying the census so they could add that question on there, something he's made clear he feels belongs on the census.
The decision follows a Supreme Court ruling last week that blocked the question from appearing for now. The House Ways and Means Committee is taking the IRS to court. More from correspondent Linda Kenyon.
Chairman Richard Neal, who is filing the lawsuit in federal court, is seeking to compel the IRS to turn over President Trump's tax returns. The lawsuit comes after Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin denied multiple requests from the committee to turn over those returns, something the president himself has refused to do. The committee says it needs those tax returns as part of its oversight responsibility to see if the IRS is properly following guidelines to audit presidential tax returns. Trump himself calls it presidential harassment.
A Navy SEAL has been acquitted of murder in the death of an ISIS prisoner. Correspondent Nick Watt is in San Diego.
After about 6 hours of deliberation, the jury found Chief Eddie Gallagher not guilty on 6 counts, guilty only on one of the charges that he faced, and that was posing with the corpse of the young ISIS detainee who was dead, who Gallagher had been accused of murdering. He was cleared of that charge.
A man arrested in the death of a college student whose charred remains were found in his backyard was banned from the campus of Utah State University in 2012. The school took the step after the suspect's student visa expired and he was accused of stealing an iPad. Gains today on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed up 69 points, the S&P up 9, the Nasdaq up 18. I'm Ann Cates.
Youth vape.
Hey, Milwaukee, do you have an office to clean out or close out? Don't call the junk man. Call my friends at Madison Liquidators. Sustainability is their business model. They'll pick up and recycle and refurbish your used furniture. They'll help keep your old office furniture out of the landfill. Find them online at MadisonLiquidators.com. Call Madison Liquidators, 608-831-1012. Madison Liquidators. Tell them the Devil's Advocate sent you.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
USA has defeated England 2-1 in their semifinal match.
After 7 minutes of extra time, Team USA secured the victory as seen on Fox Sports.
That was it. U.S. wins.
The win came without Team USA's star player on the field. Megan Rapinoe was out, reportedly due to a hamstring injury, but her substitute scored the first goal 10 minutes into the game. After England tied it up, the go-ahead goal came from the U.S.'s Alex Morgan. Alyssa Nair had a tremendous save and goal, preserving the win for Team USA. So the United States will return to the Women's World Cup final match on Sunday. They'll play either Sweden or the Netherlands, who face off on Wednesday. I'm Steve Kastenbaum.
The Texas Rangers say a moment of silence will be held before tonight's game in honor of Los Angeles Angels pitcher Tyler Skaggs, who died a day earlier. No word yet on the cause of the death of the 27-year-old. I'm Ann Cates.
Guys. 2015. Remember having to walk to Summerfest? ATU Local 998 transit workers will be taking tens of thousands of Milwaukee citizens to the festival grounds this summer. Public transit has become a tradition for a safe and fun Summerfest experience. Transit workers have been working in good faith without a new contract for 15 months. This has become an unsustainable situation and cannot become a political football. These transit workers serve the community and deserve to do so with proper health care and increased driver and passenger safety. Abley's Cuts in Service are cuts to our community. Call County Executive Chris Abley at 414-278-4338 and tell him to settle this contract. Tell him to fight for better service for this community. On your way to Summerfest, thank your driver for the uninterrupted service and tell them that you will call Chris Abley at 414-278-4338 because you support ATU Local 998 transit workers.
For WRRD and WTTN, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Summerfest cranks up again today after taking a one-day break. Music artists you can see tonight include Michael McDonald, Lionel Richie, Shaka Khan, Churches, and Leroy Airmaster with Junior Brantley. Alpine Valley Music Theater is having its busiest season in 15 years. There are 8 shows booked for this summer, with another festival-style concert still to be announced. The Dave Matthews Band is there this weekend, with shows still to come from The Who, Fish, and Jimmy Buffett. And the Brewers beat the Reds last night, 8-6 game. 2 of that 4-game series is tonight in Cincinnati. Forecast for Milwaukee and Madison. Tonight, mostly cloudy, lows in the mid to upper 60s. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we are sliding into the 5 o'clock happy hour, and I'm happy to announce Ed Fallone, candidate for Wisconsin Supreme Court, has come back around to join us live in the Brady Street studios. And Dom and Ed, near as I can tell, you might be the only candidate for Supreme Court, because if it doesn't happen on this radio show, it doesn't happen. Yeah. Ed, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates.
Thank you very much, Mike. Dom, I've always said the road to the Supreme Court goes right through this studio.
Absolutely it does, sir.
We'll take it.
Ed, got to start a little off state and local topics. Immigration, this immigration issue is front and center. Ed, I don't know if I realized this the first time you ran for Supreme Court, but you are the son of an immigrant. Wanted to get your reaction. Obviously, as Congress people, as different people approach these detention facilities, we see the unsanitary conditions and perhaps even the lawlessness there. Ed, how should we react as American people?
Well, I think as a citizen, I react with outrage, and as the child of a Mexican immigrant, especially, I react with outrage. In my perspective, and I've taught immigration law for years, and I've led organizations that serve the immigrant community in southeastern Wisconsin, and I know the challenges that community faces. I think what's important for listeners to understand is that none of this is required. I mean, the Trump administration made a very deliberate choice not to follow the law, not to follow the statutes as passed by Congress and not to follow our normal regulation procedures, but they made a very conscious choice to try and create facts on the ground, try and create a situation that was so disagreeable, oppressive, and involved such mistreatment that it would effectively deter immigrants from coming. And it actually had the opposite effect, because what happened is it raised the fear that the border would be completely closed down, that there would be a wall. And so every Central American who thought maybe in the future they might have to flee because of safety concerns or no economic opportunity, thought this is our window of time to do it. And so actually the harsh conditions ended up exacerbating the situation, making it worse. And so now we have this disgraceful situation.
And a young lady called us in the last hour, Kim from Milwaukee, I believe her name. She asked Dom and I, what should we tell the people that listen to shows like this, those that have a conscience, have a heart, and how should we react? I said maybe march on the streets. Ed, you're running for higher elective office. What should people be doing, in your opinion, sir?
Well, there's always a tendency, I think, in the general public to sort of sit back and hope that maybe the courts will solve this. You know, we have this social issue, we have this crisis. Well, maybe whether it's Trump or something else, climate change, maybe the courts will fix it. That is a very, very slow, gradual process. And some of these crises, some of these problems we face as a society, and the situation at the border is one of them, they require a much more rapid response. And an author that I really respect, Gary Wills, Pulitzer Prize-winning historian, recently told me, if you want change, if you want a more egalitarian government, if you want a government that truly listens to the people, the way to get that is to take to the streets and demonstrate. Now, demonstrate peacefully, but let those in power see the number of folks, see your power, your support, your message, and that's the way to get change, is to express yourself.
And I wonder if the people here in the state of Wisconsin, obviously, Scott Walker dropped the bomb that was Act 10, and the people marched on the streets, up to 100,000 on given weekends. And it seemed like that was without effect. Obviously, Scott Walker took a lot longer to be defeated. The recall didn't do it. And it certainly didn't seem to bend the will of the Republicans. If they ignore 100,000 Wisconsinites, I mean, what's going to take 1 million before they sit up and take notice, Ed? I'm not clear that that Republicans care about people in the streets because they're so snugly gerrymandered into their respective districts. And they don't seem to care because there's very little fear that they'll lose unless they get primaried from the right.
Well, this doesn't have much to do with my Supreme Court race, does it?
It could. We'll get there, sir. I'm winding there. It's a slow wind.
I take issue with your assumption that the takeover of the state capitol and the Act 10 protests did not have effect. I think it did. I think it mobilized people. And I think to the extent that in the state of Wisconsin, there's been a change. That people are coming out and they're voting, and they are voting in favor of progressive values, and they are, trying to return Wisconsin to what it once was. I think in the future, historians will look back at the Act 10 protest as perhaps the beginning of that movement.
Now, Ed, here's where I was actually working my way to. It's a long and winding road. Gerrymandering, sir. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that apparently they have no jurisdiction. The federal courts have no jurisdiction to decide the nature of a partisan gerrymander. And my biggest qualm here in the state of Wisconsin is that Republicans seemingly don't care about their constituents because they don't have to, Ed. And we know there's no relief coming from the federal courts. So what do we do, sir?
Well, I think we do what the majority opinion in the Supreme Court case said, which is first, they made the decision that in the federal courts, it's too political to decide whether a district has been gerrymandered for partisan purposes or not. That's just saying it's too political for the court to decide is a political decision. But then they went on to say this had nothing to do with whether state courts and state legislatures could deal with the issue of partisan gerrymandering. And so I think the answer is, to the extent we're going to combat gerrymandering, we're going to end the practice where legislators select their voters instead of the voters selecting their legislators. If we're going to change that, it's going to be through legislation or constitutional amendments or state Supreme Courts interpreting state constitutions. And so if you think that a Wisconsin Supreme Court election doesn't matter or won't have an effect on your life, right here is a clear example where even the U.S. Supreme Court says, oh, yes, it does.
And I think it matters a hell of a lot. That's why we keep inviting you back, sir.
Folks, You're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. That is the aforementioned Ed Fallone. He's a candidate for Wisconsin's Supreme Court. He joins us in the Brady Street studios. Ed, another Supreme Court decision came down regarding the census. I want to get your take on that. Now, it wasn't like a clear decision in my mind. I think they kind of kicked it back below because of the justification that the administration used to put this on there apparently didn't live up to what they said. Now, I have a couple of questions on this. It seemed like the administration was lying blatantly, and from what I saw of some of the reading was that they mentioned this. The courts did. Didn't seem to say mean what they said it was, giving them all sorts of outs without calling them liars. Is there any repercussions for someone who comes in front of the Supreme Court like that with blatant lies and provable misstatements to punish them for that action?
Well, I mean, I think you've put your finger on the ultimate issue, which the court sort of kicked the can down the road, which is what if, and it would be an executive branch official and the Solicitor General's office representing the executive branch, what if they present the justification for an official executive branch action, in this case the Commerce Secretary, and it is just clear that it is a post hoc rationalization far removed from the truth? Will the court have the courage to say, no, that's not what happened and it's not sufficient for you to put forth, and we don't have to take at face value anything you say is your justification. We're allowed to probe behind it. Now, that's the ultimate question. Chief Justice John Roberts, by siding with the liberals, sort of kicked it down the road and said, well, we just want more justification now. Go back, give us more justification, and we'll decide later how much justification is sufficient. I think the important thing is that the clock is ticking on the census, and in the meantime, it does not look like, or it seems unlikely, that a citizenship question will be included.
They have come out and said today it will not be included.
Okay,
this is breaking news about 45 minutes ago.
There you go. Well, I was on my way to a radio show, so I didn't hear that. Well, I mean, and this is key because what people need to understand is it's not just about, and it's been mischaracterized as whether the census should count non-citizens versus citizens. In immigrant families, it's very typical to have a blended family,
right,
where you've got a citizen, you've got a permanent resident alien, and you may have undocumented members of that family who have come over and live with them. And so when they are deterred from answering the door, when they are deterred from sending in a form, the citizens who are part of that family don't get counted. And that's what results in underrepresentation.
And is that the whole reason that we had this conversation? Is that the whole reason why the administration went for this citizenship question and fought this fight so people were not recognized?
Well, I think it's many observers.
Calls for speculation.
Some people, some observers have seen that the demographics of the United States are becoming younger, more diverse, and more liberal in voting preference. And there have been persistent statements by political scientists that the Republican Party is too old, too gray, and in a few years will be too dead. But the Republican Party has responded. And how do you fight demographic trends? You fight it by, at the margins, redistricting, perhaps reducing the number of citizens in districts in the census. And in that way, they're holding on to their political majority.
Ed, I'm not clear if you can comment on this. Ed Fallone, a fine candidate for Wisconsin Supreme Court here in the state of Wisconsin. Our gerrymandered Republican majority took it upon themselves post-election to pass a number of lame duck bills that remove power from the elected governor and the elected attorney general. We now know that the Wisconsin Supreme Court effectively jumped in and said, we're going to rule on this. And in terms of process, let's start with the process. Maybe you can comment on process. Was this a normalized process? Was there such interest that it was appropriate for the Wisconsin Supreme Court to go jump the appellate court?
Well, let me just say, maybe not in regards to this particular case, but I have seen an increasing tendency on the Wisconsin Supreme Court to assume jurisdiction of appeals on their own initiative when not asked to by the parties.
And you find that appropriate to
no,
Ed?
Look, we have a court of appeals. We have this intermediate level between the trial court and the Wisconsin Supreme Court. And one of the primary functions of a court of appeals is they are an error-correcting court, and they are designed to correct fixable errors by trial judges, and also to make the issues more concise if they're to move on to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. And where I have been very troubled when the Wisconsin Supreme Court reaches down past the Court of Appeals, snatches up these cases for themselves, it's really in two ways. One, they've been finding error in the trial courts in ways that I find completely unpredictable. They announce a new standard, a new rule, and then they turn around and overturn them based on clear error by the trial judge. Well, the trial judge had no idea there was going to be a new rule announced. And also the issues are not limited or concise. I mean, you see the Wisconsin Supreme Court roaming around and issuing rulings on a variety of issues that just haven't been clarified, and you're not sure if, certainly as a lawyer representing the parties, how do you write a brief? You don't even know what the key issues are going to be until the court rules. So I don't like the process, and I also, quite frankly, in the lame duck bill, was not happy with the substantive ruling as well.
Ed, do you think that Wisconsin citizens, under the current makeup of the Wisconsin Supreme Court, understanding that 4-3 conservative majority will be a 5-2 conservative majority when Hagedorn is impaneled and Shirley Abrahamson officially retires, do you think there is justice to be had with the current makeup of the Wisconsin Supreme Court?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by that, but...
Throw a partisan issue out there and let them jump ball. Do you think we'll ever get a fair hearing on the merits of whatever the case may be if it's a partisan issue?
I think let's select Ed Fallone to the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and we'll get some justice on the court.
Well said, Ed. Let's come back with our good buddy, Ed Fallone, candidate for the Wisconsin Supreme Court. You are listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. It's the happy hour. We will continue to be happy on the other side.
We have to bring back law and order.
The most important decision you can make right now is where do you stand? Goodness or badness?
People that are evil.
Judicial system!
Here in the Badger State, we have our own expressions. When we're looking to go on vacation, we state, well, let's go up north. Hello, this is Tom Bennett, president of Teamsters Local 200. Here in the Badger State, we also have another expression, union yes. The strength of the labor movement depends on elected officials here in Wisconsin and Washington, D.C. that support the values of working families that raise the standards for all. Give us a call at Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit our website at www.teamsterslocal200.com or on Facebook at Teamsters Local 200. Be engaged.
If you're like a lot of companies, you know you need IT, but you aren't sure where to start. That's where Five Nines comes in. Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO. For almost 15 years, Five Nines has been providing IT solutions to companies just like yours. We'll show you the solutions that are right for your business and give you the roadmap to success in the future. Find us at 5nines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Hey, Milwaukee, do you have an office to clean out or close out? Don't call the junk man. Call my friends at Madison Liquidators. Sustainability is their business model. They'll pick up and recycle and refurbish your used furniture. They'll help keep your old office furniture out of the landfill. Find them online at MadisonLiquidators.com. Call Madison Liquidators, 608-831-1012. Madison Liquidators. Tell them the Devil's Advocate sent you.
once again, the American public has some reading to do. In a 29-page indictment today, Americans need to take a look at page 6, paragraph 20, and here come those important 8 words: to interfere with the 2016 U.S. presidential election. That is it.
Jim, I'm going to make a confession on behalf of the panel. Dom's not going to read the indictments.
Come on, maybe.
The Devil's Advocates, political commentary from the back of the class. Charged, never convicted. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. If you missed any of this fine program, please go online to the interwebs to domandcrute.com. You can download and listen to podcasts and interviews.
Dom, we still got a fine guest in the Brady Street studio. He is Ed Fallone, candidate for Wisconsin Supreme Court, coming soon here in the Madison 2.0. The broadcast bunker 2.0, that is. Matt Rothschild at 5:30. He is the executive director of Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. But Ed, before we run out of time, I got to tell you, sir, I've seen a modest change in your candidacy from the first time you ran.
Oh, well, I think that's true. I think, I ran for the court in 2013. I did a great job. We got over 360,000 votes, newspaper endorsements around the state. It was a campaign I was very proud of. Yet, over time, I began to feel that I would do it differently. And that's what this campaign is about. And people can go to FalloneForJustice.com and the Facebook page for Fallone for Justice, and you can see what I'm committed to now is I'm really taking it to the voters and talking about the issues that matter to the voters. I'm not going to sit back and point to endorsements. I'm not going to sit back and just say, here's my resume. I'm going to talk to the voters about what really matters in our state and our state Supreme Court and how their rulings affect their lives and how we need a different perspective on that court. Perspective of someone raised in a working family, who's worked with working families on their issues relating to the justice system, relating to criminal justice, and trying to intervene to keep kids from getting wrapped up in the criminal justice system. We need that perspective on the court, and so I am running a different kind of campaign.
Well, it might be different, Ed, but you're still sugarcoating it a bit, sir. The current makeup of the Wisconsin Supreme Court, Ed, they don't arrive at decisions predicated on the merits of the case so very often, to my opinion, sir. And I think it's something that absolutely has to change. And Ed, I know you got to play nice. You are a candidate, but you can see that, right? I mean, you can express the fact that what is going on with the courts is wrong, and we certainly need a change in one or more of the justices.
Well, obviously, I think we need a change in one justice. And that's,
for sure.
That's the incumbent Daniel Kelly that I'm running against. Look, it's about asking yourself, what is the kind of voice and perspective I want to see on our state's highest court? And I think when I say, why not have a constitutional law scholar, someone with broad experience in the court system as a litigator, who also has represented nonprofits, led nonprofits that help low-income and middle-income families find lawyers to help them, that make the system work better. Shouldn't we have someone on our highest court with that perspective, working from the inside instead of having to work from the outside? And once I present it like that, voters agree. They say, yes, that's the kind of voice I want to see on our court. And so I've had a great response to the campaign. And I've been all over the state, Stevens Point, Green Bay, Madison, far afield as far as Wauwatosa. And I'm committed to going around the state. Anyone listening, if you want to invite me to come to your part of Wisconsin, email me at info@FalloneForJustice.com. I'll even show up for kids' birthday parties.
Weddings and bar mitzvahs, we do them too.
Yes, absolutely.
Ed Fallone, he is a candidate for the Wisconsin Supreme Court, also a constitutional law professor at Marquette University Law School. Ed, thanks for coming around. You're always welcome. It's great to see you once again. And if people want to find out more specifically about you or request you to come and speak at their event, what's the website and a Facebook forum, please, sir?
FalloneForJustice.com. Facebook is the same, Fallone for Justice.
And how do we spell that?
FalloneForJustice.
And you're like 5 appearances on the Devil's Advocates ahead of any of your opponents. Buddy, I got you in first place.
What do I get for 6? Is there a prize?
We got some beer in the fridge next time.
Hey, when you get to a dozen, we give you a 12-pack of beer, sir. Thank you so much, Ed. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Our good friend Matt Rothschild here in Madison with me. We'll be right back.
Thanks, Ed.
Great.
Do you want to be a winner? All the winners I know like the Devil's Advocates Facebook page.
"2015. Remember having to walk to Summerfest? ATU Local 998 transit workers will be taking tens of thousands of Milwaukee citizens to the festival grounds this summer. Public transit has become a tradition for a safe and fun Summerfest experience. Transit workers have been working in good faith without a new contract for 15 months. This has become an unsustainable situation and cannot become a political football. These transit workers serve the community and deserve to do so with proper health care and increased driver and passenger safety. Abley's Cuts and Service are cuts to our community. Call County Executive Chris Abley at 414-278-4338 and tell him to settle this contract. Tell him to fight for better service for this community. On your way to Summerfest, thank your driver for the uninterrupted service and tell them that you will call Chris Abley at 414-278-4338 because you support ATU Local 998 transit workers.
You are listening to WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com.
Got unwanted pests in your home or business? Call Get Rid Pest Control at 414-368-0696. State licensed and certified with over 20 years experience, Get Rid Pest Control guarantees their work in the removal of common household pests, including mice, rats, ants, roaches, spiders, centipedes, and bedbugs. Humane trapping and removal of larger pests as well. Unmarked vehicles available upon request. 24-hour emergency service available. Call Get Rid Pest Control today for your free estimate. 414-368-0696. If you got it, we'll get it.
Hey, Al Bachman here. My family has owned and operated Bachman Construction since 1954. Since opening our doors, understanding the needs of our clients, and striving to exceed their expectations have been the cornerstones of how we do business. Quality is our foundation. We are proud of providing quality service and establishing a tradition of excellence in the Madison community for more than 65 years. Give Bachman Construction a call today and let us know how we can use our 3 generations of experience to make your next project a success.
We the people, the hardworking 99% of men and women, only have a voice when we join together as one and amplify our message. Now is the time for all Wisconsinites to join We the People and raise our voices. Do you feel like you are wasting your money funding unaccountable consultants, unresponsive candidates, and their campaigns? Help us do something that really matters. Please join We the People. Give what you can so we can support progressive radio stations like this one, using the public airwaves to educate Wisconsin about what we the people want for our state and remind Wisconsin's politicians that they work for us. Your donations to We the People at p4ppc.org, a registered, compliant IRS 501c3, will always be tax deductible, will always remain anonymous, and We the People pledge to spend 100% of donations educating Wisconsin on the issues our donors want discussed, giving individuals a voice in the collective message of We the People. Please give today at p4ppc.org. That's p4ppc.org. We the people need you.
For WRRD and WTTN, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Milwaukee County has submitted a proposal to the state to renovate the Vel R. Phillips Youth Detention Center in Wauwatosa and at least 2 other locations as an alternative to sending kids to the troubled Lincoln Hills and Copper Lake facilities. The county's proposal is separate from the state's plans to build a secure facility for more serious juvenile offenders on Titonia Avenue in Milwaukee. Several lawsuits have been filed over the conditions at Lincoln Hills and Copper Lake, which share a campus. So far, settlements and legal bills have cost the state more than $25 million. Outside tonight, mostly cloudy, lows in the mid to upper 60s. You're listening to WRRD and WTTN, Wisconsin's political talk.
The Devil's Advocates. They refuse to do math on the radio.
Welcome back to the Devil's Radio Show. Some of you are waiting for Ed Schultz to start talking. You got to be an old-time progressive radio fan. Thank you to our most recent guest, Ed Fallone, candidate for the Wisconsin Supreme Court. He's winning the Devil's Advocates appearance lottery right now, Dom. He's number one.
Number one.
And we got to find guests. He's always number one in our hearts. He's Batman. He's Matt Rothschild, Executive Director, Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. Matt, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back.
Wait, Matt.
Come on, Gary.
I'm Gary. I didn't turn your mic on.
It's all right. I'm right here. Boy, it'd be a coup to get Ed Schultz back on, I got to tell you.
Yeah. Well,
that'd be a hell of a
that'd be a
booking.
hell of a. Right. Got my Ouija board out. We'll call up Ed later. Let me ask you, Matt. We just had Ed Fallone on, and Ed, a very good guy, but he's running for a judicial post, and he won't call a spade, not precisely, sort of sugarcoats it. But I got to ask you about this new gerrymandering ruling. The U.S. Supreme Court has effectively said they have no jurisdiction. The federal courts do not have jurisdiction over partisan gerrymanders. I'm thinking, then what do you do? But ultimately, Matt, we know there's no justice to be had at the Wisconsin Supreme Court. So how do we, as I've got to tell you, I'm a little discouraged, Wisconsinites, how do we find something to make us optimistic? What's our point of hope, sir?
Well,
Give me a lodestar.
Here you go. I'm not discouraged. I was figuring all along that the U.S. Supreme Court under Roberts, who's a snake, a really smart snake, but he's a snake, was not going to deliver for us on gerrymandering. And it was an outrageous decision, as you're right, Trudy. Here he admitted, Roberts did in his decision, that partisan gerrymandering was an offense to democratic principles. But then he said, go away, don't ever come back, and don't knock on any courthouse door in America because we're not going to solve your problems. He said the states should solve them by themselves. Well, let's solve our problem in Wisconsin, and we can do it. And this is why I am not pessimistic, because there's a huge growing mass movement here in Wisconsin to ban gerrymandering. 47 counties out of the 72 have already passed county board resolutions saying to the legislature, you got to ban gerrymandering. Our citizens want to see you ban gerrymandering. There was the Marquette Law School poll out earlier this year that showed that 72% of Wisconsinites want to ban gerrymandering. That included 63% of Republicans and 76% of independents. Now, this momentum is going to build because in the next couple of weeks there's going to be bills introduced by Senator Hansen and Representative Robin Vining to introduce standalone bills to ban gerrymandering in
They'll
Wisconsin.
never get a hearing, will they, Matt?
They may not get a hearing, but, how long can Robin Vos and Scott Fitzgerald, put their finger in the dike on this? At some point, this mass movement is going to grow so large, and I think it's going to happen in the next 2 to 4 years, that even Robin Vos, even Scott Fitzgerald are going to have to come around on gerrymandering, or they're going to lose their own seats, no matter how gerrymandered their districts are, because when that percentage of Republicans and independents is against gerrymandering, and when these people voice their concerns as they are, even diehard Republicans who've lived by this sword are going to die by this sword.
I got to admit, Matt, you had me at Vos will be gone someday. I just had this warm fuzzy for a moment. But, he won't be gone anytime soon. He is as firmly encrusted by the gerrymander as anyone. Speaker Vos seemingly has a permanent position unless we have a more successful, a fairer redistricting. Matt, to your opinion, is that feasible? Can we get a fair shake in 2021 under the current circumstance? Assume it's Evers, assume it's a Republican Assembly, and assume it's a Republican Senate. Can we get a fair map?
We can get a fairer map. But this is what's going to happen in 2021, assuming that Republicans still hold a state assembly and still hold a state senate, which is a good bet. They're going to draw rigged maps again. That's what they're good at. And Evers is going to get out his veto pen and veto it. And then what happens is a judge comes in and says, I'm going to appoint someone who's going to draw the maps. And that person is most likely going to draw fairer maps that weren't drawn in 2011. And those will be the maps that we'll have in 2021, 2022, 2024. And at that point, I think Vos and Fitzgerald are going to have to run scared, because I see people rising up on this issue in ways that I never thought possible. I was tabling at Farmers Market in Madison on Saturday, 8:30 to 10:30 in the morning. It was hot as hell out there. We got 325 signatures on a petition to ban gerrymandering in Wisconsin in 2 hours.
Wow.
Now, you've done some petition gathering in your day, Crudy.
At the farmer's market.
It's not that easy
It's
to
a
get
bitch.
people to sign petitions, and we got a ton. There's just a large amount of interest right now in solving this gerrymandering problem, and it crosses ideological grounds. So if Democrats are running on this issue, on legalizing marijuana and protecting people's health care, I think that's a winning formula.
Now, Matt, you said Tony will veto it. Well, Tony's got an opportunity. He's on the clock right now. He's got the state budget in totality, the Republican state budget, because, of course, they shredded Tony's state budget, the one that 70% of Wisconsinites wanted the expansion of Medicaid, 83% of Wisconsinites wanted the legalization of, at minimum, medicinal marijuana, and Republicans said, F you, Tony. No, lump it. So, Matt, in your humble opinion, what should Tony Evers do now, this week, by Friday?
What I'd like to see him do is take that veto pen out and veto the whole sucker.
Yeah, you and I both, but will he?
I don't think he will. I think he'll do a line item veto. I think there are things he can do creatively with creative editing, and my phone is open. I can volunteer for some creative editing. He can make a bad budget slightly less bad. But to my opinion, the way they've been shoving it to him since he was elected, I would just veto the whole thing and say, you guys got to come back and do better for Wisconsin, especially the kids in Wisconsin.
Folks, you are listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Matt Rothschild, he's the executive director of the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. He joins Crudy in the Madison studios. Matt, back to the gerrymandering topic for just a moment. Scott Walker tweeted out yesterday on this issue, and here's what he said. The Supreme Court decision is a great victory for our Constitution. Now more than ever, we need all Republicans to join us, or we will find ourselves gerrymandered into perpetual minorities by liberal state Supreme Courts. Join us today. And my first reaction, Matt, when I read that, is like, dude, you're making the point for us.
I mean, this is the author of the worst gerrymandering in recent American history, the guy who signed that into law, and for him to be, decrying Democrats trying to gerrymander is just the height of hypocrisy. But that hasn't bothered Walker in the past. And also, the U.S. Supreme Court didn't say that, they were in favor of partisan gerrymandering. Actually, Roberts, throwing a bone to the liberal justices, said, we don't condone partisan gerrymandering by any stretch of the imagination. We're not echoing into the void, was some legal way he put it. But he said, it is a problem for democracy, but he just didn't want to solve the problem, didn't want any judge in America to solve the problem. It's baffling to me that Walker just doesn't go away and disappear. He lost his election. I think he's going to lose any election that he runs for from now on. And yet he stays around. He's like a herpes virus.
What's that they gave you down at the hospital, Don? Valtrex or something?
Just give it a shot of something, make it go away. Oh, wow, man. Okay, so now we'll assume it goes to the courts, and my understanding is, but for the previous 4 decades, Matt, the courts had decided the district maps, right? And now the one chance the Republicans had, they had, the supermajority, and they stuck it to everybody. Hey, good for them. They took advantage when they did, and now here is where we're at. What's your expectation? You said it'll be more, and I would agree with you, more fair. But who determines how more fair it is? Does the judge just assign somebody, they just come up with it, and now it's accepted, or they still battle back and forth on it after the first draft is shown?
No, the judge imposes it.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, he hires someone to draw it, and he says, bingo, this is your map. Go to it. Run on these lines. So it's out of the legislature's hands if they and the governor can't come to terms on it.
Well, I do have one minor update for you, Matt, for you, Dominic, and for everybody listening to my voice right now. Tomorrow, and I can't tell you the reason because it's embargoed, but tomorrow, sometime after 11 o'clock, Governor Tony Evers has a little something going on at the conference room. I've RSVP'd. I'm going to attend. We'll see what's the happenings tomorrow.
So is that where he's going to unveil his vetoes?
We will see.
It's
Can't
embargo.
tell you. I'd hate to be, crossing the embargo line again.
But it's got to be because, he's not going to do it on July 4th, and he's got to do it by July 5th, so it makes sense that he'd do it tomorrow.
Yeah, if he wants any sort of public notice of what it is he would intend to do. Some would speculate the governor might be dealing with the budget, but you didn't hear that from me.
You can hear it from me, though.
Right, Matt. You have no such limitations on your embargo.
I didn't get the embargo. I'm just listening to it.
So the big decision will be Tony's. Apparently, we may know before the 4th of July holiday. And I have high expectations, but I don't think he's going to veto it, man. Not the whole kit and caboodle.
Well, it would be unprecedented. It would because
not unprecedented. Didn't someone do it in 1930, 1931?
Well, it hasn't happened in a long time.
Nearly unprecedented.
Nearly unprecedented, and I just don't know. I just don't know if he's got it in him to do it, but we'll see. Certainly, you can use a line item veto in creative ways. I mean, Lord knows Tommy Thompson line item vetoed hundreds of sentences or lines in the vetoes where he got them.
Now, let's talk about the Wisconsin Supreme Court for just a minute. They inserted themselves in the gerrymandering case. It would have gotten to them eventually, but they kind of stepped out of turn. And I think an awful ruling. I didn't think, the League of Women Voters case, I forget, there were other plaintiffs in that case. I didn't think that was perhaps the strongest case, but it was at least the second case that the Wisconsin Supreme Court said, we don't care what the merits are. We're going to insert ourselves anyways. Matt, I don't think we can get justice at the Wisconsin Supreme Court. How important is it for a guy like Ed Fallone or perhaps Judge Jill Karofsky? How important is it to at least get back to 4-3? So maybe by the middle of the decade, we might actually have cases decided on the merits before the Wisconsin Supreme Court.
Well, I think for progressives and Democrats, it's really important because we have a rigged Wisconsin Supreme Court. I mean, let's face it. Decision after decision is rigged in favor of their ideological allies, in favor of their donors like Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce. After the League of Women Voters lame duck decision that came down against the League of Women Voters, we were party to that suit. We filed a amicus brief in that.
Sorry to exclude you. I didn't mean to be so.
No, one of the other named plaintiffs was Block, Black Leadership Organizing Committee down in Milwaukee, and yeah, this Wisconsin Supreme Court just. They don't care what their arguments are. They're going to rule the way they want and come up with the arguments later, and that's what they did. And that's what they do in case after case after case. The legal reasoning in their decisions, and I read a lot of them, is really paltry, but it doesn't matter to them. They're getting the outcome that they want. And Wisconsin Manufacturers filed an amicus brief against the League of Women Voters lawsuit, and when the court ruled in their favor, they came out with a press release praising the Wisconsin Supreme Court. They've spent millions of dollars to get conservatives on that court.
Didn't the Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce actually write the recusal rules for?
Well, don't forget the realtors, Don.
I'm sorry.
Yep. They and the realtors wrote the recusal rule that said if you're a judge or a justice in Wisconsin, it's just up to you to decide whether you should be on the case or not. We have no hard and fast rule here. You decide it for yourself. Well, we know you're a fair person.
That worked out so well in the John Doe, too, in the case of Prosser's concurrent opinion, which seemed very confessional to me. But, it'd been over a year since he had acted feloniously, so apparently it was all good, man.
Water under the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, that is amazing, this idea of a conflict of interest by a judge in Wisconsin. The rules for getting off that case are much less stringent than the rules that the U.S. Supreme Court themselves have issued on this. They say if you're getting a huge contribution from one side and it has an effect on your election, you shouldn't be able to sit on those cases. That doesn't seem to bother any of the conservatives at the Wisconsin Supreme Court, however.
Now, Ed Fallone, I mentioned to him, I think he is running a different campaign than the last time. And I think a smarter campaign, at least for the times we are in. The Republicans, the conservative justices or judges that want to be justices, they always run as Republicans effectively. And then we see the justice that would support the more liberal or the centrist point of view. They always play it down the middle. Matt, they never want to give us too much opinion or be too straight or give us too much information. And we've interviewed Supreme Court justice, or at least wannabe, one after the other. And other than Rebecca Dallett, who seemingly broke that mold, I don't recall another candidate for the Supreme Court who has been quite so candid until this newest version of Ed Fallone. Do you agree with that tact?
Well, Tim Burns was very much a progressive when he ran.
Right. Yeah.
But I think
that's true, and I don't mean to dismiss his.
But I think
his
that's
primary candidacy.
You're right though, because when the conservative candidate runs, all we see on the air are, "This is a conservative justice. Vote for the conservative justice." And on the Democratic or progressive side, it's, here's a fair-minded judge, here's an experienced judge, vote for this judge for Wisconsin Supreme Court. So they're not so much getting the base out. And the ship has sailed. We don't have nonpartisan races anymore for Supreme Court justice. Let's face it.
Well, can we start treating politics like the blood sport it is here in the state of Wisconsin? I mean, the Democrats. I know you are with the nonpartisan organization. I know you personally, your ideology probably leans more towards mine, Matt. But can we stop pretending as Democrats, as liberals, that at some point life's going to treat us fair and just get out there and put some tinfoil on our knuckles and start a street fight?
Well, I'm a competitive person, Trudy, and I hate to lose when I'm playing tennis, and I hate to lose in politics. And I do think that progressive and Democrats need to fight hard.
I got some tinfoil, Matt. Let's wrap up. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. Our fine guest, he's Batman. He's Matt Rothschild, Executive Director of Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. We'll be right back. Final segment of the day. I know Dom's just counting down to the quitting time anyways. We'll be right back.
I don't want to hit a sore spot, but can we talk about herpes?
And they literally and figuratively get hooked, and once they get hooked, there's no going back.
Anybody here have herpes?
Having a great time.
Herpes, trust me.
It wasn't true. It was a Scott Walker, Scott P. Walker. I'm Scott Kevin Walker.
Herpes, bull, herpes, banana, fana, full, herpes, herpes. Ow!
Did you ask me a question?
"2015. Remember having to walk to Summerfest? ATU Local 998 transit workers will be taking tens of thousands of Milwaukee citizens to the festival grounds this summer. Public transit has become a tradition for a safe and fun Summerfest experience. Transit workers have been working in good faith without a new contract for 15 months. This has become an unsustainable situation and cannot become a political football. These transit workers serve the community and deserve to do so with proper health care and increased driver and passenger safety. Abley's Cuts in Service are cuts to our community. Call County Executive Chris Abley at 414-278-4338 and tell him to settle this contract. Tell him to fight for better service for this community. On your way to Summerfest, thank your driver for the uninterrupted service and tell them that you will call Chris Abley at 414-278-4338 because you support ATU Local 998 transit workers.
All workers benefit from unions, as unions create the highest standard in wages, health and welfare, retirement security, and workplace protections. Hello, this is Tom Bennett, President of Teamsters General Local 200. Your voice is your strength. The ability to build a stronger and better tomorrow begins today. Teamster Local 200 represents workers in numerous industries, and our team is ready to sit down with you and your co-workers to build your unified team. Call Teamsters Local 200 at 414-771-6363 or visit us on Facebook or www.teamsterslocal200.com.
Businesses today thrive and survive with technology. At Five Nines, we provide businesses with the IT tools they need to stay relevant. We offer enterprise-level solutions at competitive prices. I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Let us manage your IT so you can focus on more important things, like running your business. Check us out at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Last segment of the day. If you got something to say, we'll try to squeeze in some communications with our audience at 844-967-2789. We got this text in to us. Can Wisconsin Supreme Court justices be recalled? Matt Rothschild, Executive Director, Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. I do not know the answer to that. I would think they would be, but what do you think?
I think they would be too. I haven't looked that up, but I think any elected official can be recalled.
Who are we targeting?
Right.
I've already tangled with the new Chief Justice Rogensack. I told her if she can't stand that he'd get out of the Chief Justice's chair, for God's sakes.
Now, I've heard it speculated she might be one and done, that she might be, well, one more and done. She'll serve out her term, but I think she is the next potential swing seat that would come available. Rogensack, as the incumbent, would have certainly an advantage, certainly with the chief name next to her name. But what if she just says, I've had enough?
You know, I'd be surprised. I haven't heard those rumors. Of course, I haven't been listening that closely to Wisconsin Supreme Court rumors.
Maybe it's just wishful thinking.
But, you know, I think she enjoys being chief too much, so I don't think she'd willingly step down. But I'd be happy to see her go. Let me put it that way.
Don, we're going to take a phone call?
Let's do it. Once again, 844-967-2789. Brock from Horicon, you're on with Matt Rothschild, Batman. What do you got for us today, Brock?
Can we simultaneously run about 50 recall elections at the same time on an up or down vote? I'm interested in that. I have two guys in mind right off the top of my head. My wonderful representative, Mark Bourne, and then my negative energy, Scott Fitzgerald. We could get rid of those two. I wouldn't lose any sleep.
Yeah, but Brock, then you're going to have to run for office, buddy. Someone's got to be the candidate against them. It's just not a yes or no, get the bum out of there. Someone's got to replace that bum.
The couple times that I talked to, I've talked to Scott Fitzgerald one time on the phone, and he seems to insinuate that he doesn't work for me. Well, I said, well, that's good. And get the hell out of there so we can get somebody in there that's going to do something. I don't think that's what he meant exactly, but that's how I took it. I'm kind of concerned about this ruling on the Supreme Court deciding they don't have jurisdiction to decide a court case that's pretty clearly and easy to do. The Voting Rights Act of 1964 or 1965, I've heard it referred to either way when I read about it. Clearly states that any kind of gerrymandering is allowed as long as it doesn't prohibit or dissuade minority groups from voting, and it does both of those things. I don't know how that isn't an easy read. It says it clear as day. I don't know what the point of having a Supreme Court is if they aren't going to use English to mean what English means. I'll hang up and listen to what you have to say later.
Thank you, Brock. Appreciate it, man. Matt, yeah, good point by Brock. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you raised two good points. On the U.S. Supreme Court, I think everyone should read, if you got a chance, Justice Elena Kagan's dissent in the gerrymandering case. It was brilliant. She pointed out all the ways the court had a responsibility to weigh in this on this issue, not a way to abdicate on this issue. And then, Scott Fitzgerald, he does seem tired to me. And I think if the Democrats put someone up, maybe Andy Jorgensen used to be a legislator in that area. Someone like that could run against Fitzgerald and give him a run for his money. I think Fitzgerald and Voss are vulnerable, even in their gerrymandered districts.
Matt, I got to ask you, the former gubernator, Scott Walker, he's just not going away. He's like a bad penny. He's doing podcasts.
Apparently he's like herpes.
You know, it gets off your lip for a couple weeks. And then it's back. The cold sore is back. Matt, first and foremost, have you heard the Gubernator's podcast?
I have not. I've seen him tangle with AOC on Twitter and get the worst of it, but I haven't listened to his podcast.
Well, apparently 18 glorious minutes the other day. He's going to drop one every Friday for our listening pleasure. But got to ask you, what do you think the former gubernator has in mind? He's not going anywhere. He's going to run for either Senate or governor. Which do you think he wants more?
Well, I think he'd like to be governor again. I think if Ron Johnson goes back on his claim that he's only going to serve 2 terms and runs again, he won't run against Johnson. If Johnson, on the other hand, makes good on his pledge and goes away, which I hope he will, Walker may run for that.
But, it's funny. Walker has said prior, no interest in the U.S. Senate, likes being the chief executive. I think he thinks it positions him better for what he thinks the future might hold for him, which is the presidency, Matt?
Yeah, he's deluded on that. I agree with him this far. Being governor of a state is a better job than being senator because you can really, help people or, if he wants to, like he's done before,
stick it to him.
Hurt people.
Oh, come on. He's not hurting people. He's just cashing checks from, big donors, and what they want is good for them and sometimes comes at a cost to others.
Oh, he hurt a lot of working people. He hurt a lot of state employees. He hurt a lot of union folks.
I stand
Matt,
corrected.
Will you be cruising with the walkers in January of next year? I hear
Hawaii, baby,
for the low fare of like $5,400 per person for like a 300 square foot cabin. What a deal. You'll be there, won't you, man?
You're going to pay my wife or me $5,500, $5,400 to go on that trip. I can tell you that.
But Matt, there's karaoke.
Oh, God. He's going to do it, too.
Yeah.
I know you've got a little friendly poker game. I hope you win, so you got the money to take the wanker trip. Want to thank all our fine guests today. They included Ed Fallone, candidate for Wisconsin Supreme Court, and the returning champ. He's Matt Rothschild. I'm always proud to be American when Matt Rothschild joins us here in studio. Thank you, Matt, from the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. Give him the website quick, Matt.
WISDC.org.
Thanks,
Stick
Matt.
around. Brandy Grayson, Unheard of, Dr. Tim Slecker, busting pencils at 7. Proud to be an American today. Thanks for listening, everyone.
I am so proud that you are citizens of
An effective, safe, and reliable public transit system is the lifeblood of any community. HU Local 998 transit workers believe in this community, which is why they have been working in good faith without a new contract for over 15 months. They are simply asking for the same health care and increased driver and